Okay, so before we go ahead and jump right into this, I'm going to give a couple links here and also just preface a synopsis of today's presentation. It'll be two parts. I'll be coming in early, as I am right now, and talking about some of the adjustments and changes that we've made with our tools, and to assist you in understanding how to scale personally, um, and also to be more productive in your personal and collaborative ventures. And I some people ask me, how are you doing all this? How's it working? Obviously, there's a lot of spiritual inclinations, but there's also some technical scenarios that I've arranged. And so today's call is going to be about making others aware of some of those technical scenarios. Also, since we've talked about digital assets, Mark is going to be coming in at the hour 30 mark. Um, and he's going to be showing you something that him and Mike Tierce put together upon his request of creating a digital asset course as easy as possible. And actually, the theme of today's presentation is actually to get all of this stuff in play without spending any money. We love that, right? So the tools that we're going to be talking about today, about 95% of them are scalable. And that means that they're absolutely free. And scalable courses, as you grow your business or your project or whatever, then you will be incurring some fees, but it'll be right along with that people are now purchasing or sponsoring or participating in whatever it is that you're offering. So it's very important, again, because we're in a world where not only is it technologically inclined, but also we have a tendency to be doing several things that would generally cover two or three different job positions. So if you're the IT person, the design person, um, the marketer, the copywriter, and if you're doing all that for your own entrepreneur venture, then this is going to make it a lot easier for you to get more cohesive, especially when it comes to working for people, working with people. In addition, you have to know personally that we are habitual creatures. So this means that once we start using something, we have a tendency to not want to switch over to something else because we don't want to go through that whole learning curve process over again. However, many of these tools that are being used by people every day are actually obsolete and in many cases counterproductive. And this is actually why I did a poll. For those who are just coming in, there is a poll, you should see it. And it was a poll about the usage of the Apple OS versus Windows. And currently our poll says 92% of the people on this line are using Windows systems, while only 2%, mainly one person, is actually using an Apple. And we're going to, our Apple device, Apple iOS or whatever device. And so we're going to talk about that. And now that we've made it 5 minutes in, we're going to go ahead and jump off because we're still about at that same number. And then also there's always an archive to this meeting, and predominantly what we're going to be talking about today, here's the link. You will always be able to refer to this Dropbox paper ad or article for all of what I'm discussing today, as far as the links on how to get to these various tools. Now, remember, you most likely won't use all of these tools. And so it will require you to listen and to see if something really fits with what you're trying to do or what you're doing to make it better. I will say again that if you're already running some type of business or some type of entrepreneurial venture, this will only boost and increase your ability to, have greater success in what you're doing. So a lot of this stuff that we use here at Secret Energy, Ambassador Training, et cetera, there's premiums to it. So we have a tendency to test stuff out and then bring it to you only when we find that it has worked for us. And that's actually why I wanted to update this particular meeting, because we had some productivity tools meetings in the past, I think about 2. And so I want to update what everyone feels they should be using in relation to these topics. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So hopefully you have your Dropbox paper file open, and you'll see that it's including quite a few links and some titles of particular products. And so I'm going to be running down this list. I'm also going to be doing a screen share, which I'm going to activate now, make sure that it's working properly. This thing's set to 1080p today, so it should appear really lovely in our archive recording. And all right, so let me just throw my notes up here just so they're not in the way. And I'm going to start off by first just a simple addendum here about, actually, let me get my picture on the screen too. Here we are. Let's get that in here. Okay. Okay. I'll stop that real quick. All right. So I'm going to start off today by a simple addendum about Windows. I know that people have a tendency to use Windows systems because, first and foremost, they are a lot less expensive than Apple systems in theory. This is kind of like having a used car, though. Sometimes you have this used car and you think, okay, this car is cheaper than buying a brand new one. However, as it keeps breaking down and messing up on payday and all the stuff that goes on, sometimes you start to realize, man, I would have had, if I had just a new car, I wouldn't be going through this. So I think we've all been through that, especially, as you go younger, you get this used car and then it's just a problem, right? Especially if you meet a shady mechanic. So to me, Windows is like that, believe it or not. I just wanted to preface this by understanding when productivity is bogged down with repair, it doesn't make for a very productive situation, meaning that in the Windows ecosystem, by the way, I used to be a certified engineer to repair those systems earlier in life. And I really lived and died by PC. I actually thought that Mac systems were a joke and for kids. And my first Mac was actually one someone gave me. So I never actually chose to buy one. But once somebody gave me that Mac and I had no choice to use it because my PC was broke, as usual, I just was like, man, once you go Mac, you never go back. So the reality is that if you do experience, and this is based on your own use, if you experience often where you're catching viruses, the computer is updating all the time. When you got to go to work, you turn this computer on now, it wants to do an update. A lot of what goes on in Windows 10, I believe it's on now, is really strange when it comes to just productivity. And I started noticing this because I use now a Alienware system to handle a lot of the streaming. I bought one also because a lot of these machines need the PC because of the software they run on. And jumping back in after being in around Windows XP or whatever, I realized that absolutely nothing had really changed. If not, it had gotten worse. I even had to use a third-party software that I used for a long time called Windows Media Manager by Yamasoft. And what it at least does is reduces a lot of the different things that that PC does. So in fact, I didn't even include that as a productivity tool today, but I am going to include it because few know about it. And if you have no choice but to use that system, you might want to use this also in conjunction. I think there's also a free version of this on Pirate Bay. So you may want to check it out there, but I'm going to go ahead and just send a link here on the chat because it wasn't included in today's presentation, but I will put it here just for those that are confined to that system. And it's because if you've noticed, when you put like a thumb drive into the Windows system, and then it goes through that process of where it reads what's on the drive and you're just waiting, that never happens on Mac systems. Actually, it doesn't happen on most systems. It's a Windows thing. And the funny part is that it actually does that and doesn't even need to do that. And this is just only the beginning. Stuff like this, Microsoft's Media Manager actually removes that. So then when you plug in your USB, it just pops up right away. But you can imagine when you start calculating this time, and that's what this is really about. I'll harken back to when I started learning more and more about why I needed to delegate. And it was because I was bottlenecking my own success. And one of the big ways that I was doing that was not assigning the small things to other people because of thinking, oh, well, it's small. By the time it takes me to assign it to someone else, I probably have it done already. But when you times that by 10 or times it by 20, it not only becomes a lot of time, but it becomes a lot of little small, simple things that you're working on. And anything that you're working on that you have to pay attention to, it's going to divert your mind from thinking a certain way. So if you're always thinking about simple things, when the complex stuff starts, maybe it's hard to shift your mind into the complex things. So I'm using that example in relation to the Windows system. If it's not tuned properly, you spend so much time trying to fix it, getting frustrated because your files are lost. All of what goes on in that ecosystem. Just recently, they had an update that deleted everybody's main files. It didn't affect everybody, but it affected a lot of people. So in conclusion, what you'll find is you could probably buy a used Apple off of eBay, which, you know, all those machines are really strong, um, and pay around the same amount, if not less than you would pay for a new PC, but you would inherit the stability of the Apple ecosystem. And I just wanted to mention that, not as an Apple fanboy, but as somebody that uses these systems every day, needs to have a high level of productivity, and can see how, when something is not working or broke, how it just really tanks everything. And you know, if there was a devil, I feel like he created the Windows system, because sometimes it happens right when you need it the most. So I'm just like, man, what's up with this system? So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention, that if you're using those systems, if you have to go out and get ready to buy a new system in the future, you may want to think about crossing over your OS, because also you do get the invitation naturally to the Apple ecosystem, which is the App Store. And obviously, as you know, as we're going to show today, most productivity tools are actually free on when you're onboarding and you're not using them on an enterprise level. And so you have access to all those smooth flowing tools. But today, actually, most of the stuff that we're going to be talking about is third-party tools, browser related. So it's not really heavy. It's not really dependent upon you having a Windows or a Mac system. But I just wanted to let you know that, you know, that could ease up some of the stress for you. I want to tighten my focus ring a little bit here. So hopefully somebody in the house is hearing me. It's just because I'm a little out of focus and it's soft, but I'm going to keep going with it and see if somebody pops down here in a minute and able to tap the focus ring for me. I'm sure I'm clear enough. So the first thing that we're going to get into here is actually your browser. You know, we're going to actually start off from the basics though, and scale up from there. Because obviously some of this stuff you can be like, well, I know what browser I'm using, etc. So hold on real quick. I'm going to tighten my focus ring real quick here. Okay, the other direction. Keep going. Uh-huh. Right there. Right there. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me get into the window that I was looking for. Okay, here we are. Here's my Evernote file. Okay, so first and foremost, I didn't do a poll on this, but by show of hands, how many people are actually using the Chrome browser? Okay. I guess I should have said how many people are not using the Chrome browser, but I guess the hands will have to be showing and everybody would have to have their video on. Okay, scratch that question. I'm just going to dive through this. All right, so the Chrome browser is obviously not just a browser. It's actually an operating system. That's why they have Chromebooks, and Chromebooks actually can run on Chrome's operating system. So just to first start this off the proper way, the reason why you would want to use something like Chrome, obviously there's other tools to search with like DuckDuckGo and those kind of things that protect your privacy a bit better. However, it's actually the Chrome extensions that you find have the largest suite of tools that go along with the productivity tools that we're going to talk about today. Sometimes, obviously, the second most popular browser is Firefox. I like Firefox a lot, but unfortunately, I only use it when I need to be logged out of something to check how it looks or what's going on. So that's what I use Firefox for. I really like it, but it just doesn't have that extension suite. A lot of times with certain softwares like Vidyard, which we're going to talk about today, there is no extension for it. So that keeps happening. And so that's why I don't really use Firefox a lot. Also, you know, since we work with cryptocurrency, MetaMask works inside of Chrome. I'm not sure if it works inside of Firefox. I don't think so. But MetaMask is also a part of Google Chrome. And of course, MetaMask is like your secure wallet of how you handle your cryptocurrencies. Also, with Google Chrome, well, I guess that's pretty much the gist of Google Chrome. You need it to actually have these extensions. And because it's more of like an operating system rather than a browser, then it's better to use. So if you're in Safari, if you're in Opera, mainly Safari and Opera, you need to think about coming over to, or Explorer, okay? You need to think about coming over to Chrome, especially in relation to your own productivity and being able to deploy things immediately from your browser, which would function like an operating system. And in fact, again, everything that we're going to be talking about today, mostly if it's an extension or extension related, it can be done in Chrome. So this means that you can actually do everything that we're talking about today without having a Mac system. I just wanted to bring that up for those who may be in the decision-making mode or, need the extra pointer. So as we go into this Chrome extension, the first thing that I have here, and it's not so much of in order, it's just more of, okay, productivity tools. What are you going to need? Let's explain it. So the first one that I have here is actually TubeBuddy. And let me make this a little smaller as far as my picture is concerned. I'll put it down here. And what TubeBuddy is actually TubeBuddy allows you to see the metrics on other YouTube channels. This becomes very important for an entrepreneur, especially if you see that you have direct competitors on YouTube, meaning channels that are like yours, services that are like yours that have YouTube channels, and you may wonder, hey, what kind of keywords are they using? And what are the deeper metrics that they're using? Mainly those keywords, titles, those kind of things. How long the video's been there, how many people have viewed it, how many people have liked it. So when you use TubeBuddy, TubeBuddy automatically places that into your system. So let's see if I can actually find that here on my system. I downgraded TubeBuddy not too long ago because I have a lot of services, and I just had to decide, okay, hold on real quick. The silliness, the silliness never ends. Let me just go to default view. There we are. Okay, so this, what you see at FB and Videolytics is actually TubeBuddy. This is free. Even when I downgraded, I still get that same plan. So what am I seeing on this video? The visiting the coldest town in the world. Now, the actual benefit of this also is that when you see a video that is really ranking high, especially for topics that you're used to covering, you want to know what those tags are. And this gives you those tags. So that's information that you're not privy to without TubeBuddy. And then you also get like their best practices. They used a high-res thumbnail. They have some info cards. They shared it on Twitter. So you get a chance to see kind of how their workflow is with how they get so much traction to that. As you see in this particular video, it has 2.29 million views. These are the thumbs up, thumbs down. So you get all that in at a glance. Okay, so you can see how powerful that tool will be. You can also have the Chrome extension, and what the Chrome extension does is it just allows you to see all this information on the fly. It actually puts this here. So you now have, it puts this right here. I think I got a little analytic things over here. Let me see. Annotate. Ooh, I like that. Let's see here. Orange, eraser, text, mouse, draw. Straight line, circles. All right, so this. Okay, so I just want to see my annotations are working. Wow, that's wild. All right. So yeah, so that's what you would be able to do is basically you get this when you plug in the extension. This software is free. It does have a premium version, which I actually found was kind of useless. It just kind of lets you, keeps telling you to do certain things that you should already know how to do after you check some of the best practices on other people's channels. So moving right along, you have then Grammarly, right? This was a big move for me. Let me move these annotations out of the way. And this was because, as Wendy knows, I'm like the typo king. Something happened when I started ciphering English languages to other languages to I can't spell anymore. Like it just is like a blur. And because of that, obviously people could think, man, this dude is really intelligent, but how is he not spelling this word right? Especially when you do it a few times, right? Like you versus your, and those kind of typos. So what I feel like has to happen for anybody who is utilizing anything that they're typing something in blogging or even emails. If you use the computer, get Grammarly. It makes you look smarter, and it really, really helps you understand how to spell again. Because also as you keep correcting words, and there's some words that you've been spelling wrong all the time, or some words that you never really knew how to spell completely, like entrepreneurship can actually take you for a swing. Sovereignty can even take you for a swing. People are like, you're talking sovereignty, but you can't even spell it. You don't want those kind of scenarios happening. So Grammarly helps you with that. It is free. And it generally works in line with anything that you are using, meaning that you could jump on YouTube, be typing something there, and it'll correct it. Facebook, it'll correct it. There's only a few systems that don't allow Grammarly to kind of come in and help you correct the situation. Just one second. Let me just do this because this is such a powerful tool. I just really want everybody to see. It'll probably be one of the only things that we spend so much time on just in looking at. So it's worth it. So just give me a second. And now I'm going to share my screen again since I got my passwords in properly. You get a chance to go in here and actually create it. So this would be inside of the Grammarly suite that's installed on your computer. And let's say, for instance, let's go into here and see what I've done. That doesn't look like something I completed. Wow, it looks like other files are in here from other places. I think I did this one with a friend of mine. Yeah, okay. So what happened in here was, you see how it's saying checking and correcting with the assistant, and I say correct with the assistant, right? So what this is going to do is it's going to tear this whole thing apart. It's going to let me know when I'm using words too many times. It's going to look, this sentence appears to be written in a passive voice. Consider writing it in an active voice. Now, that kind of stuff is very powerful for someone who has to get in all day and deal with grammar and typos and that kind of thing. So hopefully that gives you a really good overview of why I use Grammarly and why it's important to include in your workflow, unless you're just perfect with your English grammar all the time. You never have typos. You never have problems with formulating your sentences. And of course, that has the Chrome extension. The other one is obviously Evernote. And this in itself, like I think I was not think, but Julian Mellison was talking about this, and he's just, he's a video designer, but wants to help you understand productivity tools in the video environment. And his first recommendation was to use Evernote. I've been actually using it for 4 years. This mic got on my face. And it's because cloud notes are totally different than your notepad and even your physical piece of paper. All of them have their use in certain ways, but more importantly, cloud notes allows you to take those notations when you're in the most unlikely places. And it just so happens for me is that I always have ideas in the most unlikely places. So I'll be in the car, in the shower. It's like famous for me. And it's good that some of these phones are basically waterproof now. So I'll have to, even in the middle of the show, like sometimes I'll, be getting ready for the show and I'll remember a note. And I know by the time I get downstairs, I'm not going to remember that. So it's always great for me to be able to grab my cell phone right then, jump right into Evernote, see the show notes, and then type that addition of what I needed to add to those notes, and then keep it moving. And then in addition, if I'm actually somewhere else and I need to grab those notes, or I'm on another computer and it's time to do a show and the notes that I originally put on, I could bring all that onto whatever device, whether it's an Apple, whether it's Mac, whether it's a phone, whether it's an iPad, whatever it is, I can bring those notes over. And that's very powerful because you get a chance to really build on something. And then obviously Evernote has its own suite of abilities, such as being able to collaborate with others on documents, being able to instantly share documents with others. You see, I have like a work chat going on here, and these are just people that have shared files with me that I can talk to them back and forth about that file. I can't say that I use those collaborative features that much, but they are there. But most importantly, I get a chance to sort all of my work based on the notepad. It's getting a little messy in here, obviously. And then I get a chance to actually have all my notes available, search my notes, find my stuff. And then also, because Evernote has what they call the web clipper, which is an extension for Chrome, all that again is free in that Evernote suite. You can then, any page that you go to, I'm not sure it is, you get a chance to, after of course logging in, which I'm not going to do that again. Oh, is it doing it by itself? I think Dashlane is catching on. There we go. Let's see if that works. All right. So that web clipper allows me to immediately do what you just see right here. Either take a screen capture, make a bookmark, take the whole page, simplify an article about the page, and all of my notepads are here. So in a nutshell, what I'm capable of doing, and let me see if I can actually get just something that is going to allow my mouse to look bigger. Let me go back to annotate, and let me go to my mouse. I don't know what that does. It may either show or hide my mouse, so I'm not sure. Okay, so right here, if you notice in the web clipper, which is the extension for Evernote inside of Chrome, is it lets me grab my pages. Now, anybody who's been using that old booknote system, I think Caitlin had asked me a question, and I was still kind of boiling my mind about. She wanted to just bring over bookmarks, kind of like in the form though of tabs. And I was still a little hazy on how to do that because she wanted that on her mobile device. So I haven't responded back to her yet. But this is kind of the closest thing to something like that, because the web clipper, actually, maybe not because you can't see it on a mobile device, but it allows you to see all of your files, and then it allows you to file in your data, like your bookmarks or this websites you need to visit, or if you're running a project and you need all those images for a different project and they're on a website. So anything that you need to bring from a website or from the web over into Evernote, you can do that with the web clipper, and you can do that in different formats. The whole page, the whole article, a simplified article, just a bookmark, a screenshot. And I use that all the time. Like I create entire portfolios on things like geometry and stuff. And it helps me because when I want to then gather all my information back again, I can do that, right? So that's why we use Evernote. And again, it's one of the most powerful tools because it's cloud-based. So moving right along, let me open back up my notes since they were in Evernote, and I kind of zapped my page out. Moving right along, the next thing that we have is we have Vidyard. The reality is when somebody is explaining something to me, and let me, I put the Google Chrome extension because that's predominantly how you'll use it. So I put that in the document. I didn't put the URL to the site, but you can just navigate to the site if you want to know more about it. Another free tool, absolutely free. In fact, one of those tools, some tools are free. And you're like, man, how long is this going to last? And it's actually been lasting for years. So this is a free tool that allows you to, on the fly, take a not a screen capture, but a video recording of your screen. And let's see if this is just going to crash everything when it happens. I doubt it, but let's see. So you're looking kind of like at the interface right now. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to give somebody some really fast instruction about what you're dealing with or what you're experiencing or what's not working or whatever without typing some huge long thing. If you ever notice that, especially when you're dealing with these tech supports from companies and they're like, so what is your problem? And you're like, well, this thing is not doing X, Y, Z. And they're like, okay, can you send me, I'm navigating to that page now, but I don't see it. And they're like, oh, it's right here. And then so there just becomes this whole long conversation because there's actually no visual tied into what you're doing. And generally screen capture software can be a bit cumbersome. Like I have ScreenFlow, I have other softwares that I use to do tutorials and all that. But I just need something that's available right away on the fly. And that also is going to give me a link right away that I just send to the other person and show them what I'm doing. So in this case, this is what Vidyard does. And it doesn't have a Chrome extension. It doesn't have anything else. It has an enterprise suite, meaning they want you to pay a lot for it. And then they have a free one, which is the free one is what I've been using for 4 years. And it's as simple as I can say just the tab. That's what this selection is, just the tab. That means just this tab right here. So if I switch to another tab, it won't even record that. Just the screen. Let me see what some of these comments are about, just in case my sound has gone out completely. Okay, great. I just want to make sure that it's not falling apart back there. And it's fast. It's like, bam. And then on top of that, I can see all of the videos. You see every single video I've ever made. And this is why I was like, I don't know how long this is going to be free because I've been using it for years. And I've never deleted these. I just, haven't done it. And so they're still holding all this data. And so, probably go in there and erase it at some point, especially if they start charging for it. But right now they're not. So I get a chance to make these quick, high quality videos, talk right into my mic, explain what's going on. And then once I'm done, it just gives me a link. So like this, right? I hit record. I'm saying record the whole screen. So you can even deploy this from your Chrome browser and then close your browser. And then if you had something on your desktop or in another program that you wanted to record then and show them, you can do it that way, right? So this doesn't just work in Chrome. So it's asking me for which screen because I have a dual screen working right now. I'm saying just share this screen. And I'm just going to turn it off real fast just so it doesn't mess up the H.264 encoder that Zoom is also using, technical stuff. So basically, I just started it and stopped it. You just stop it by clicking the icon again. It says your video is ready to share. I name it here. Whatever, right? And then now I can copy this link and now I can give that link to anybody and they see this video. There's even some share options over here. I think it's, just your standard share options and the share to Gmail. This is paramount Now, again, one of the things that I really want to say again about productivity tools is that they don't work if you don't use them. And what happens is if you get into habits of not using this kind of stuff, it's kind of like, some of our older folks, they don't tend to like some of this newer stuff. And then even there's new stuff coming out right now that I don't really like to get into. And that's a constant trend. But what you have to remember is that, to stay spry, you always want to keep diving into things and learning them, especially if it's not like a super hard learning curve. This stuff is not hard to use. It's just really about understanding how it goes along with your workflow and that it can really save you time. Maybe not at first, because you would be stop using your old, maybe you write things on pen and paper, write all my notes, and then you're like, man, I like having my notes on pen and paper. But then when you look over at that pile of all your notes, and then when it's time to find something, you start thinking, maybe he's right about those cloud-based notation systems. So the reality here is, again, that if you don't use the tools and if you don't remember them, then, they don't work for you. So it's really good to start using stuff first, or get stuff or download things that you're going to actually use first. And then that kind of gets you more into maybe using other tools that are able to help you as much, because you'll be like, man, I really save a lot of time and I love every time I'm able to use that. So not pouring it on too hard, but Vidyard is dope for being able to deploy immediately an explanation to a problem that is going on in your computer, or to show somebody something that you're doing or experiencing, and then having that link generated right away, so you don't have to go upload it to YouTube, get the link, etc. So you get it. The next thing is Dashlane. I can't say enough about security, especially as an entrepreneur and you're working on this web environment all the time. What is the normal habit? Using the same password. People have a tendency to use this same password on all of their accounts. And anytime, in the event that something actually happens, then pretty much all their accounts can be compromised. So Dashlane prevents that. It's free, as you see. Get Dashlane, it's free. Their premium plans allow you to have Dashlane on multiple devices. It works for me because I need this even on my cell phone sometimes, because I have some of the same softwares that I'm using and I need to access them on my cell phone. So if I have these complex passwords, then that produces another problem for me. What Dashlane does is they give you the ability to have it across all your devices, so you can stop using the same password. In addition, because they're so aggressive with security, what they also do is they tell you anytime a password has been breached, or there was a breach in someone's security system. So for instance, I knew about Facebook's, I don't know how many, 15 million account breach about 4 to 5 days before the world did, because Dashlane told me, hey, you need to get this password out of here right away. They just had a huge breach and they haven't announced it yet. So that happens a lot, more often than you think. And so Dashlane is also a system that can give you that notification as soon as you come into your computer in the morning, like, hey, change this password, because they just reported they have a breach, which they do to these internal systems a lot faster. So that's what's up with Dashlane. Again, you can deploy this across multiple devices. And if you have an ecosystem that it has to be very secure, and you have people working in that ecosystem, sometimes you need to give them passwords that you still need to be protected very well. And so what you can do is you can have them download Dashlane on their end, the free version, and you can actually send them that password in Dashlane encrypted. And you can even give certain permissions, like only allow this to work for a day. They can't really see the password in certain cases. If you set it like that, they can activate it and get in, but they can't see what the password was that you sent them. Or you can give them full rights where they can see the password and even change the password if they need to. So I found that also very useful for if you have something where you constantly need to send this secure data and you need somebody to receive that data encrypted and for it to remain secure. That's how you would do it. The next system is actually Typeform. And this gets into, if you think about, like, when you're starting any kind of course, class, and pardon me that I'm adjusting myself in the seat today. I think it's time for me to buy a new chair. It's just, I sit in it too much. It's worn itself out. There's no more cushion, so I have to keep adjusting myself in the seat. So with Typeform, we have these standard form systems that are out and they're everywhere. There's like tons of form systems across the internet. And, some people say, what's in a form anyway? I mean, it's just a form, people fill it out and then, that's it. But actually not. How the form looks has a tendency to determine whether a person even fills it out or not. And Typeform cracked into that quite a bit of time ago. And I guess Typeform has been up for about a year and a half, something like that, and they're free. Um, Premium services, I guess, get remove branding and other things that, you know, at the first level you won't be really concerned about. But what you're capable of producing is these really, really amazing forms. Now, all these forms terminate into something like MailChimp. So just so you understand the form process, or your direct email address, you know, judy@gmail.com. So when a person fills out the form, once they hit enter, it's just going to go wherever you send it to. But what's most important is the process that a person's going through while they're filling out that form, because it can encourage them to continue the form. Also, putting in different metrics, like Typeform allows you to say, if they push this, then push them now to question 9 instead of taking them through the rest. So you get this metric where you can kind of like get an interactive form. Are you 5 to 9, 7 to 20, or whatever? And they click that, and then boom, they go in another form, and they start asking questions more for a person in that age range. I don't know too many forms that offer that kind of ability, and it's easy to kind of get set up versus, you know, doing a lot of CSS and programming and stuff on the back end, and then ending up with still an ugly looking form. So Typeform has you all the way around, whether it's simple forms, complex forms, adding videos, adding pictures to forms, just straight forms, whatever you can think of. They all come out looking beautiful, and there's actually some templates that they give you. So this is just an example, but you kind of need forms for so many things, lead capture, polls, all those different things. So that's what we use. I picked up on this because when ICL season was in last year and everybody was launching ICLs, I kept seeing these forms that when you fill them out, it felt like you were dealing with something authentic, even if it was a total scam. And those were coming from Typeform. So I was like, definitely want to look around over to Typeform, and we switched all our forms over to Typeform. So definitely, if you have some kind of form-based logic that you need to put in play, that's your go-to. The next one that we have here on the list is Todoist. Now, you would think, because I used to actually run my to-do list inside of Evernote. And it worked for a little bit, and I liked it because it was a cloud. But what happens is, let's just look at one of my to-do lists here. Well, first of all, you have to keep naming them different things. Like, this is the master to-do list, not to be confused with the ultra master to-do list. And then, meaning, because every time you make a to-do list, you have a tendency to keep needing to make new ones, especially if some of the stuff on the to-do list didn't get done and they're starting to clog up your space, and now you need to just get a new document and start over. So my to-do list looks something to the tune of this when I get it in Evernote, okay? So there's a lot of doing going on. And I try to rate my to-do list, and we talked about this before. I try to rate my to-do list based on importance. These are things that have already been done. And then I try to like get this 1, 2, 3, 1 being priority, 2 being, hey, you know, it's gonna need to get done. 3, it's not as pressing, but it does still need to be done. And that honestly doesn't really work. You just end up having a bunch of 3s and 2s, and then the 1s are the only ones that you're getting at. So using cloud-based software for to-do list does work a little, but not really. Also, you know, I love to have just a standard pen and paper when I'm writing a to-do, because I have a tendency not to forget things that I write down. The only issue with that is I end up with this huge pile of to-dos, and it's just a huge mess. So enters Todoist. There's quite a few to-do softwares out there, and not all of them are created equal. I didn't even really see for a while use of me actually using a to-do software because I was using Evernote, but it got to a point where I said, you know what, I just need to jot certain things down really fast that need to be done. And I don't even need to set a date to them right now. I just need to know that they're there, and then I can reschedule them in later. Like if somebody says, man, you need to make sure that you turn off those notifications on Skype at some point. Now, I won't set that as a schedule. Oh, 2 o'clock tomorrow morning, turn off the notifications on Skype. That's not going to work, right? So that's why you have a to-do list. But what Todoist does is it also gives you a to-do list in conjunction with a calendar and a few other things that we've just recently discovered that we're now deploying, not completely using yet, but we're deploying and getting warmed up. So this is Todoist. They just put in a dark mode. By the way, Google Chrome has some dark mode extensions. As you know, YouTube now has dark mode. If you look at this, I think I can go here, and then I think I can go down to here, and I can turn on dark mode. Why do I want to use dark mode? Well, one, for your eyes. This white is destructive on the cornea of the eye. It just is. And some people have different things. They wear certain glasses that help them protect them from the screen, blocks the blue rays and et cetera, or that frequency or whatever. And then some people just use their monitors, eco, or some settings that they have to help with that. Like even cell phones now have that. Um, but most importantly, they don't generally do dark mode to where they black out the white areas. The first thing is power usage, just for the love of life. A dark screen takes less energy than a white screen. Two, your eyes, it's a lot more abrasive, a lot less abrasive on your eyes when you're using dark mode. And so now, because that trend has started, and this is in the Apple ecosystem, they now have Mojave, which is actually a complete dark OS, meaning that Mojave for Apple, the latest update, offers the entire Mac OS dark mode over their GUI. So my back pages like this is obviously iOS, they're dark, you see? And this really preserves my eyes, it saves power, but the dark mode is now becoming a theme. So you'll notice when you open other softwares like Evernote, they don't have a dark mode, but they will soon. Todoist has put in a dark mode. So that's why mine looks like this. And what you see here is just things that I've thrown in and said this needs to be done at a certain point. I got to call Thomas about some software on the Roland MDX that's been sitting there since last month because I'm not working with machines right now, but it's still there. And I can choose to move it out of the way. But most importantly, I kind of need that there because I do need to talk to Thomas. So there's not only that it's going to keep me in line with what I need to add still or what I need to do or tell someone. It's also going to put me into a position to be able to go over and find my stuff. And then in addition, I can share folders. And this is what we've recently started working on. And this is that we get these folders over here on the right side. Also, I saw Dave mention Flux. Also another great tool. If you set it properly, I think I started having headaches in dealing with Flux only because I was not turning it. It was like cutting it. You got to set Flux to where it works on your time zone. And if you mess that up, you can find yourself in dark mode during the day, which actually will give you somewhat of a headache, but it works at night. But Flux is also really good software. I think it also is only a Mac only software. I'm not sure, but Flux is cool. So as you see here on the left side, you get these folders. And what these folders allow you to do is share with others to do, right? And then even talk to them, kind of like what we see in a lot of our softwares now. So here we are, we got some notes going on about just this to do. So in the family, this is great. Like if there's something that you're working on, a homework project, something that you need to maintain that needs to be done during a certain time, you can hook that folder up with a child or a spouse or whatever, and then keep, going back and forth from that information and things that need to be done. It's a necessary part in the workflow of the entrepreneur. And of course, it also is free. You can also, something that people don't really know about Todoist is that you can actually add your Google Calendar into Todoist, which is really the necessary integration because obviously many people use their Google Calendar to book appointments and things like that. You can only do this on the web version as far as getting it installed. But if you go to the web version of Todoist and you go to the settings, you can see in the integrations that you can add your calendar down here, the calendar feed, or excuse me, the integrations right here. You'll be able to add your calendar and you can still do that on the free plan. So this is dope because you get even your to-dos in your calendar, you get your stuff from in your calendar, in your to-dos, and you're cooking with grease at that point. Moving right along. Now, this was something that we were thinking of setting a course specifically ourselves for. And we just, because we were using Creately for a while, and then once I realized kind of the drawbacks of Creately, I moved over to Lucidchart. And then now it's just about getting back in here and doing a tutorial with the fam and showing, how to create flowcharts properly. So why do we use flowcharts? Flowcharts are so instrumental if you have a multi-layer operation going on and you need to get a top-down view of this. I talked to Life about it in relation to his company. And sometimes you can have your entire company in your mind, like a hard drive, like, you have everything, all your files in a hard drive, from your computer hard drive really in your mind. That's how you know how to go and get your files. So nobody ever really considers trying to make a flow chart of all their files, right? Because files get moved around so fast. And in retrospect, files are also set up kind of as flow charts in your computer. You click on one, you go in there, you click on deeper, and it's in there. So that structure, honestly, is really necessary when you're running something that is a bit more multifaceted than, oh, it's just like a couple moves. Sometimes others also need to see how it's all running and how the operation works. And also you need to kind of have at a glance a way to understand what you're doing and then drill in further. So we're going to look at one of my notes here, and this is in relation to the mindful ecosystem. And let's see what happens when I blow this up. Let me shrink this down a little bit. Let me get over here. And so this is like a top-down view. You drill in from here, and this Lucid chart, also free, allows you to, let's say if I wanted to have multiple drill-ins, I could have the university here, let's say semester 1, and I wanted to detail all the courses in semester 1. There, you can even set up to where when someone clicks this, they get drilled into another system that you set up that shows all of your courses or whatever you want. And that has to happen with a chart like this, because this is like a top-down view, and then you got to keep drilling in. But just having that quick overview for me personally of what is going on in the mindful ecosystem, it gives me like the ability to see all the arenas and not forget about them and understand how they work together. And that's just a basic chart, right? But at the end of the day, the more you can create charts for what you're designing and doing, the easier it becomes to not only deploy it, but also when you're training your mind on how to recall what needs to be done. These charts are very helpful. So in the beginning, they become a little crazy to use because you find this whole, even how I should find it or file it, and what should go first and what should go here, and maybe that. And that actually is a great thing to experience with yourself, because it'll actually show you how to order things in your own mind with what you're dealing with from a logical level. And then you naturally start thinking of things kind of like a Todoist, or excuse me, like a lucid chart in a certain tense, with how it's organized and how it's set up. And then when you can get one running, especially if you have like a multifaceted operation going on, not only can you share this, but most importantly, you can keep adding to it from any device. So you could log right in. This is actually more designed to work. It's designed to work perfectly on all devices that are supported. So it works on iPad, it works on iPhone, it works on Android, it works on your desktop, it works on Windows. But when you jump in here and you got that thing on your phone, because like in the middle of the night, you're like, oh man, I need to add that extension. And this is how you get organized. This is how you get productive. In fact, there aren't any real major companies that are functioning, at least within their executive groups, without softwares like these. A lot of them are actually a bit behind on these softwares, and it's because they had custom systems built back in the days. And this is why many companies are so successful from back in the days, and they're juggernauts now, is because they had custom CMS software put in, like Goldmine, custom management systems, and they would have these enterprise level systems, which me and you would never have, because they're like $20,000, $30,000 a year to deploy. So now you get this entirely different age of entrepreneurs where you get a chance to have access to tools that are even better than the ones they use. And I feel like that's what actually gives you the edge even over the bigger companies. And the reason why they have a tendency not to switch over to these softwares, or it takes them a long time to do that, is because now they have to adjust that into everything that they've done. They have to change all their training material. You're going to get employees that complain, that say, oh, the old one was better. Why are we switching to this new one? So it's very slow for companies to switch over into very modern software, versus if you're working for yourself or with yourself, then you can make that change almost overnight. And the softwares that I'm showing you today, one of the major things about how they function is you can easily export this over to something new. Like I found that in the past, in using certain softwares, it was kind of like they built a walled garden against other softwares. So in competition, so you would get this weird file name, and you could not open that up anywhere else, nor you were able to export in any other format that could adapt to another system. So those days are over. In fact, the new paradigm is to have something that can be crossed over to as many softwares as possible. And so that's what you find, especially in the suite that we're dealing with right now, is a lot of this stuff can be shared or deployed into other things that you're using. So that gives you Lucid Chart and the importance of structuring and understanding just how your company runs. I challenge anyone on this line that has something that they're doing or working on to produce one of these charts and show it to the group, just to let us see how it's going along. But for yourself, even if you don't want to show it to everyone else, it may be your personal idea, etc., produce one of these. Challenge yourself to produce one of these to get what you're designing in order so that you understand it and have this thing to go by. So I'm gonna keep going through this. Obviously, when it comes to files and files in the cloud, you need to use something like Dropbox. Everyone's pretty much familiar with Dropbox, so I'm not going to go into a huge spiel on what it's about, but just so you know, this is cloud-based software system now, or cloud-based file storage system. Now, why does this work a little bit more proficient than maybe MediaFire or other places that are cloud-based systems that you can put onto your, that you can log onto from your browser? The answer to that question is actually because of the actual drop zone itself. So what I mean by that is this is on my proxy drive here. Let me find where Dropbox is in here. There it is. Okay, so what I can do is, instead of, because the whole thing starts to become after a while is space, right? And that's really what they're selling on a lot of these modern devices. In fact, the new iPhone Max is coming out with, I guess, 512 gigs, and that memory, that amount of memory is actually worth more than the device, okay? And this is because as things keep going, everybody wants more high resolution, everybody's shooting more pictures, there's more data crossing over, and there's a lot less deletion because you're always like, well, I need that for, and never see the file again, right? But they just keep stacking up. So what happens is that if you're not using cloud-based software, you find that you keep going through this process of your computer getting full. But at the same time, a lot of times you don't want to go through the process of trying to get this stuff off the cloud when you need it. So this is generally most people's problems with cloud software, and how Dropbox attempts to address that is by giving you the option. And I'm not even sure if it's actually turned on in here right now. I think I have to go more to like this, and it's tripping, but I think it's waiting to get signed in or something like that. But once it does that, then what it'll do is it will allow me to determine, because this is basically Dropbox, it just looks like my computer files. It'll allow me to determine what files I want to stay online, like keep that in the cloud. I just want to look at it on the fly. So this means I literally can go in here. Oh, that's the S9 folder. So I can literally go in here and I can look at files, but they're not necessarily on my computer yet. So I'm kind of like browsing them just like I'm browsing them from a browser, but I'm not suffering the media loss or the space loss because some of the files may be big. But then when I want them, or I want to make them available, then I would just right click them. And if this thing was on, it will allow me to just make that available on my computer. I can do that for whole files. I could do that for individual files. So just remember, there's a little bit more to Dropbox than just putting files and storing them there and sharing them with other people. They actually allow you to have that same filing system on your computer, but not actually on your computer unless you select that file to actually be downloaded onto your computer. And this gives you the ability to have lots of files that you can see on the fly, but they won't be on your computer taking up space. The next thing is obviously Dropbox Paper, and it goes along with the Dropbox suite. It is also free. Dropbox is also free. Paper is a new product. It's super free now because it's kind of like in beta. They want everybody to try it out. And even the form that you got today from me is done in Dropbox Paper. I like it because of a few things. One, it not only allows this collaborative approach at a document. Let's go in there right now. We'll go into the one we're looking at, right? It also lets me know, for those who are already in my Dropbox account, kind of who accessed it. I can also even change permissions on this file, even in a free account, to allow only people I invited to it. And that becomes, again, very instrumental for when you want good, clean text. Like, we got some pretty amazing Dropbox files in here, or excuse me, paper files in here. I think we've done some stuff, well, not think, but we've done some stuff with newsletters. And it helps us get in here and really start mocking stuff up, and also go back and forth about things like imagery, go back and forth about things like, what we want to put in that section. And we have this area which allows us here to begin to collaborate on what's happening on each line. I like this, or I don't like this side. I think we need to switch it to this. This picture is dope, but I think we should take this away. Also, I think we need more jargon here. Let's bring somebody totally different in on this and have them work on it. So then I can go here and I can hit that person over here. And my computer's whining right now because I'm doing too much. Okay, here it goes. Okay, so it's so slow. Geez, speed yourself up already. So I can add anyone from here and immediately bring them in to this part of the document or to this document. So it really helps because it's polished. And if I want to add anything, and let me just go down here. Oh, I see why it's running slow. This thing is a maxi. All right, so let's go down here. And let's say if I wanted to add something, you see how it's giving me all these, every single one of these cells are inserts. So I can choose to either pull files right from the Dropbox, dope, or I can just add in, some media, any kind of media, video, you name it, throw it in there. You know, I can throw in some images, right? Like the images that are in here. I can even create a table because a lot of people need to use those tables, especially to organize stuff that has to have that kind of filing. I can throw in a timeline. I haven't done that yet, but dang, they're going in. It's new features every day. Throw in a timeline. I can create a to-do list inside of this for something that needs to get done inside of the document. And then I can also have a bullet. I can have my bullets, right? And then I even have some more options over here. Just some number bullets, some line breaks, and some brackets, or actually brackets to add code, right? If you know how to do your coding, your CSS, and those kind of things, you want to get fancy smancy. So as you see, this Dropbox Paper Suite is actually the reason why they're free now. You can see they're baiting this out is because they're planning on making a massive takeover. I think personally, if they add something like allowing this to immediately go to MailChimp or allow things to be immediately mailed to clientele from here, it'll just be a game changer overall. Hey, how Arian's name get in there? So anyway, so how this works is, let me just close that real quick. All right, so how this works is, again, so we're talking about paper, and I just wanted to close that because there's somebody's personal information in there. So so paper is dope because it's like a full-on collaboration. It could be like the Todoist, but it serves its own purpose. Again, clean text, good bullets, you know, H1, H2s, all that kind of stuff is very important for when you're making a presentation to someone, and paper gives you the ability to do that. The next thing that we have on the list here is the Discord scenario, and we do use this, obviously. This is the SE Chat is in Discord, and everybody pretty much knows about this. But if you are running a project and you've been using something like Skype, I still have like some preferences in WhatsApp over Discord, just mainly the voice, and also that most people use WhatsApp. So I can't really run it neck and neck with something like WhatsApp, but any other service, Skype, I don't know, there's a lot of different messaging services out there, but all those are child's play compared to Discord, and you know why, because you probably have jumped into our Discord and seen how much we've done with it. But just remembering that when you want to get groups together and you want to have that collaborative build or that back and forth, think about Discord because it actually does have a lot of that built into it. And then I also put a link to the Me6 bot because that's a bot that immediately collaborates with Discord. And what it allows you to do is it allows you to set up multiple features like that simple gamification system that we have where the more a person comments, the higher they go in the ranking. It allows you to get certain notifications to other platforms or from other platforms like YouTube, Twitch. So every time you upload your video to YouTube, it'll share it into your Discord chat like you see it does on our end. Reddit is the same. And so Discord has, it's like a hybrid chat function, and it's absolutely free. It's no advertisements or anything. Story on Discord is they have $22 million to keep going for the next 3 years from angel investors. And so they won't be spamming your channel with a bunch of articles and ads, right? So that's Discord. As you know right now, and just so we're covering the entire productivity suite, you have to understand that Zendesk is a powerful tool, but most importantly, the first part of this that's free that you can put on your website even today is actually Zendesk Chat. And Zendesk Chat, because it works really well with creating a ticket for you, it's the suite that we use because we use a lot of stuff in Zendesk. But just remember that between Zendesk Chat, and I didn't include live chat because I think they killed their free plan. And I like live chat a lot. Like I see most companies use it. We just started using Zendesk, and there's things that they don't have that Zendesk does have, but in many ways they have things that just kind of make sense. Like, and they even have a little bot that you can program, and it asks people like all the pertinent questions before they finally get online with you. Just, you know, so if you have only a few people in your system, You can handle a lot of what needs to happen in the calls before it finally, or in the chat before it finally gets to you. Now, when you look at these kind of softwares, though, one thing to make a notation of, especially even with Zendesk, is that they are based on how many people are using the software as far as their cost. So sometimes you can use one of these entire suites and get the bulk of what you need. And as long as you don't have to have 3 or 4 people using it, your cost for you would be $16. So for $16 a month, you get a chance to use live chat on your website and all the bots and all the other different things that they can integrate into your chat experience on your website, and then back in that right to your cell phone, and literally have that whole thing set up and perfected with what feels like live support for people who are coming on. And then that's being done for $16 a month. Okay, so while these services are not absolutely free, they are very cheap if you're using it in the sense of just you needing it. And then, of course, if there's one more person that you want to place into the whole ecosystem with you, maybe a partner, then just give them your credentials rather than setting up a brand new account. So Zendesk Chat is the chat suite, right? So that's just when that little thing that's in the bottom corner, a person asks questions, it responds back. You can see the question and a quasi ticket is created. Support is actually where the tickets roll into a ticketing system. And in addition, there's help docs and a lot of the other different things. So it's kind of different than chat. So if you just get chat, you get the ticket and you get that live chat button that goes on the bottom of your site, and people can use that. And then if you get support, then you get the help docs, community, and those other things that are like holding data that maybe your customer needs to just go into the help docs and find out, like FAQs and shipping questions and those kind of things. All right, so we're going to keep moving through this. We're hitting MailChimp now. However, as we said, our brother Mark's going to be coming in and talking about how to create a digital asset. This is like your course or things that something that you want to represent, something that you want to sell, something that you may want to give away for free. And so he's going to be actually going into a little bit of the MailChimp suite. So I'm going to leave that for him. But in a nutshell, MailChimp is free. It is pretty much pay as you go. Everyone knows that MailChimp is pretty much, or is the #1 mail client in the world, email client. And how it works is that the pricing could either be based on the plan. Like you say, well, I have 100 people on my list. And let me see what they're allowing right now. Wow. Okay. So they're giving you 12,000 emails a month for free. That didn't used to exist. They used to even make you pay for that. So you could have 2,000 subscribers. That means you could have a form. You could have your forms back ending into this. Your type forms could be going right into your MailChimp and going right onto your list of subscribers. And then you can send out 12,000 emails a month for free. And you get all these other different benefits that they have down here, right? And if you grow, then you have another plan that's lined up just for that. So one thing I like about MailChimp now, from the old system to the new system, is they let you, as you see, start getting into this unlimited. So if you're paying that one-time monthly fee, instead of paying for every time or every email that you send, now it has it set up to where you can send out unlimited if you pay for that plan. But again, the most brilliant part of this is you get a chance to use the entire MailChimp suite, which includes automations. It includes campaigning. I mean, MailChimp is pretty robust at this point. I'm a little like, okay, MailChimp, but pretty soon we're going to be buying groceries off of MailChimp. But they've been really aggressive about getting in things that you really need in your business. And it is absolutely free, as you see. And it integrates, if you're using pretty much any site or landing page, you can get MailChimp to integrate with it. Anybody who started software that does that and didn't include MailChimp are already gone out of business. So every system like campaigning has a MailChimp integration. So this becomes the perfect suite to handle your business and handle your email clients, handle your leads like a quasi CMS, like knowing the people that come in, being able to separate your leads, tagging them. There's so much that you could do on MailChimp right now that it would just be beyond the purpose of this call for us to get into every single feature. However, Mark will be talking a little bit more about it. Now, when you want to jump up a little bit more, because if you notice that we always love to include these, we always take special care with our aesthetics, like how things appear. In fact, maybe more time goes into that than necessary sometime. I'm just a stickler for things looking nice and being on the level. So there's this one site that's called Really Good Emails. It's just like, you find it generally on just a standard Google search of, really nice looking emails. And so I used to, browse these kind of sites extensively just to see where design was going. And there's really never anything new. Most design really leans on imagery, right? And then everything is kind of like the same. It's in line. So you see how this is just basically a picture. Let's look at it. If I wanted to create something like this in MailChimp, it'd be super easy, right? Because this is just text, picture, line break, picture, H1, text, different font maybe, picture. So nothing here is really difficult. So if I wanted to put this into MailChimp, I would have no problem. It's only when you want to get into the really, really wow looking stuff. And I'm trying to find any of those on here because, most people don't get into the really wow looking stuff. I feel like it gives you an edge. Like, I need as many edges as I can get because we are still relatively a small faction, and we have to, if you want to say compete, we have to compete with some very large houses that have 100 people on staff and all these different things going on, and their newsletters are running out every day, almost annoying everyone. And, and this is what generally goes on behind the scenes when it comes to development of the actual newsletter itself, as far as how it looks. Somebody's in charge of that specifically, right? And they generally take the high road when it comes to design and just create something very basic and simple. But if you want to create something a lot more intrinsic, something that actually can give you a third column in this case, which MailChimp can't, or give you a bigger column on the left and a smaller row on the right, then you want to jump into something like BeFree.io. And BeFree is actually free. But if you wanted to save the file, BeFree kind of works strange. It's like, as long as you design the file and do everything you need to do right then and then export it, it's free. But if you want to like save it and all that kind of stuff, then you need to enroll in one of the plans. But case in point, as far as the difference, and we didn't roll out this particular email design because it is rather complex, and but it just gives you an idea of what this software is capable of doing. Just give me one quick second, let this load. So if you notice, these are a lot more, this was gonna be like our style that we were gonna roll with our new newsletters, and we just have so many different types of content that we put into our newsletter. This wasn't really gonna work out for us, but it's beautiful in itself. And what you have here though is you have a curved picture inside of a square. You have some bold text here. You got some more text here. You got a small column here, a big column here. You're not going to be able to do that in MailChimp. MailChimp's pretty much like 2 column or 1 column, figure it out. And to make it really simple of what I'm talking about, you could just look at these default rows here. And notice that in these these empty rows, you have these options: 4 columns, 3 column, a big one over here, a big one over here, small one over here, small one over here, big one over here, 2 big ones, small one, okay? MailChimp only has this one and this one. So that's kind of how you understand the difference between something like MailChimp and BeFree. However, BeFree is not a client that you send emails from. It's only a place that you build high-end emails in. And then when you're done, you can send these emails. They have an integration directly over to MailChimp with the push of a button once you're complete. And they give you all the stuff like the footer, because there's things that belong in MailChimp that you need, like the footer, and it gives you, I guess that's in here, default. It gives you all of those things preloaded. Also, if you just are not really good at building emails at all and you need some points, MailChimp has some templates. And one of the things that they didn't do was upgrade those templates. They still have some of the older templates. But if you want to see those 3 columns and you just have that same kind of layout and you just want it to be laid out without you having to build it element by element, then you have these pre-built rows. And of course, everywhere you see an icon is where you would place your image. So the text is already laid out. The place the image should be dropped is already there. The button is already there. You can adjust the button colors and things like that. They even have some ones that look a little bit nicer. If you'd like that whole text over image, which looks really nice on Instagram and that kind of thing, you can build those in here. So again, BeFree is a high-end email editing system. It took a while for me to find this because it's not something that I guess people really demand. But when you're holding a brand together, they have to have it. So that's what BeFree actually is a high-end email creation or design software. So that's Be Free. Now we're zooming in. We're almost done here. We have Bitdefender, okay? Because while all this great productivity is going on, you still need to protect your stuff. And it's a big thing to make sure that, especially if you're on those PCs, that you have some form of protection. And a lot of that stuff out there is really almost like the problem in itself, meaning that you have these softwares that supposedly help you with or their antivirus softwares like MacKeeper. MacKeeper is pretty much a virus. So a lot of times people ask me, well, you know, what should I use? And I've talked about Bitdefender before because it not only can protect your PC, it can also protect your phone. And you can also get the family plan, and that actually can be put on everybody's computer in the family, everybody's cell phone in the family. And I think the family plan costs me $100 a month. I know Bitdefender has some free tools, so you have to dig into it. Bitdefender has a kind of a bit going on, so that's why I even went to Central, because if you log into Central, you can just create an account and you can start choosing from the suite there, versus even for me, because I'm in a Latin country, it has a tendency to want to hyperlink me right away to a Spanish page. And then it's a little bit difficult for me to find what I normally use there. But what we're talking about is, and it just translated it real fast so I can read it, but the complete protection suites. In this case, we would go home, we will go Bitdefender family pack, you know, kind of ignore all this other stuff because it's all in the family pack. If you have more than one computer that you want to secure, and then you just grab this family pack, and I guess that would be 44 euros. So that's about $50. So not that bad. I guess they have some sale going on today. And then with that family pack, it is what it is. You can install this on Protect Windows, Mac OS, iOS, and all Android devices. And I haven't seen anything get beyond the BitHound. And it also has other things in the suites where it protects your browser and other areas that you're not even considering. So to keep your system protected, use Bitdefender. Next thing, Zoom. Obviously, we're in it now. Self-explanatory. I'm still trying to replace Zoom, to be honest, and I cannot find a competitor. So as it stands still to this day, Zoom still has the most all-encompassing tools. You may find some people that do certain things better, but overall, you still can't beat Zoom as far as being able to deploy links rapidly, being able to pull people right into meetings, getting those cloud recordings happening so you're not worried about whether it was recorded or not, share screens, all the different things that we do that you see is, you know, having, first of all, a lot of these platforms don't support meetings like what we're having right now. They support webinars, but a webinar is like, you wouldn't be able to see everybody in the conversation. It would just be like you were participating and you would have no knowledge of how many other people were there. And that works in certain scenarios, but it's counterproductive for others. Like when we get into ambassador training, it's good to see how many people are also involved in ambassador training. And the only suite that I've seen that allows 50 people, and I heard just recently you can upgrade it to 100, which we may need to be doing here soon, but you can upgrade it to 100 people in that same live, collective, collaborative thing that we do, where you're able to see and talk with everybody. They can open their mics if they want to. So make no mistake, there's a big difference between webinar software and meeting software. And Zoom is a meeting and webinar software. Now, you do have other alternatives such as Skype Business. I'm not even sure if Skype Business even records, but it does at least allow you to have a group meeting. I think Business does have a premium to it. You can use basic Skype and do like a conference call. I even think Discord allows conference calls. But again, the biggest thing that these softwares are missing is, one, there's a limit to how many people that you can have in there, generally 5 max. And then also it's not recording. So you need to have some other third-party software recording, which has a tendency to be a little bit too much for a standard computer. And then you end up in this meltdown where either you have a very bad recording or the recording starts to actually mess with your actual presentation. So nipping all that in the bud is Zoom. And that's what's up with that. So as we keep going, I guess we've reaching somewhat of the close. I did want to mention this maybe before Mark comes in. If Julian's on the line, he can tell us if he got a chance to demo this out yet. This was just recommended to me as being the most vast suite on these kind of things. I've been noticing for some reason, motion graphics, animation, and this kind of thing keeps coming up on my radar that I need to learn it. Oh no, not another thing to learn. But it's happening. And it's just because sometimes you just need very polished assets to your brand like intros, outros, and those kind of things that really do let you stand out from the standard guy that's doing the logo reveal that he bought off of Code Canyon or whatever cheap site that he just threw his website. He just threw his late logo in there and it just kind of appears and it doesn't even look like it's customly made. All that really does matter, especially in the brand. So one of the things that I've been looking at lately is how these very simple videos, the ding, 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 this is Creately. Oh, this is the #1. Have you ever, and when you get this really cheesy music in the background, right? And sometimes when I look at that stuff, it's cringeworthy to me, but it is a big, strong purpose that it fulfills. And that's getting someone to understand what this something does, whether it's a software, whether it's a brand or clothing or whatever it is, but in a very simple way. And what Vion is, and again, I haven't had a chance to dive in here yet for obvious reasons, been doing a lot of stuff, but it allows you to create those kind of videos pretty easy. And now there's a free trial on this. So even after today, if you like animations or you've wanted to always kind of play around with that kind of stuff, you can just jump into the free trial and see, how difficult or how easy it is. One of the main things to understand about Beyond from those who brought me into the awareness of it was the suite itself, meaning that there's lots of characters, there's lots of different little things you need to add, right? Because you need tree, like in this one, imagine there's a tree here, there's a computer, there's a person with their hand behind their head. So there could be quite a few different things in here as far as elements are concerned that you would need to add. And if you're an animator or have done anything with animations, like head movements and those kind of things, they all need to be animated. So what Vion does, and I haven't completely confirmed this, but I'm pretty sure it's all set up in here from the person who explained it to me, is they give you all that in like a drag and drop way. So that way you can start creating these very simple scenes for your product or whatever it is that you're bringing out. And you can have these kind of very simple videos that I find do get a bit more traction than a live person sometimes talking. So sometimes when you get that live person talking, like let's say for instance, me explaining what She Legit does. So there's one approach where I think I was pretty much on a setting like this and I'm explaining how She Legit's amazing, and that's one approach. Or I could do like one of these kind of videos and then talk about She Legit and what it does and, She Legit, and you see, oh, and it makes us smarter, ding. And for whatever reason, and we're still yet to crack into why, those videos actually get a bit more traction than the live one where I'm talking about She Legit. And I think it's predominantly because a lot of people have begun to associate these kind of animations with something that can be trusted. It's almost like in their mind, they feel like if a person can create an animation, they're already at the level as far as their company to deliver a sound product, however that comes along, right? So that's Beyond. And if anyone gets a chance to try that or create something in there, I would love to see it inside of the embassy. So last but not least, I guess, Brandy says animation is more entertaining. Exactly. It's like the difference between a kid watching a cartoon figure versus watching, a puppet or, actual live person even covering that same topic. So that's definitely spot on, Brandy. It's definitely more entertaining. So then you have typography. This is like our last but not least, by not least at all, because I will tell you, one of the biggest hiccups to creating something that looks nice is the font. And there's a few go-to fonts that every single time when you're designing something, it will always give you kind of like the best that it will look from a textual level. And the reason that's important is because most softwares, for whatever reason, are defaulted to Helvetica. And Helvetica is a nasty looking font when it starts pairing up either with other fonts in the context of what you're trying to explain. It's H1, H2. By the way, H1, H2 is headline 1, headline 2. That's what gives you the big fonts versus the small fonts. You generally set your H1 and your H2s. And then you kind of set your H1, your H2, and your paragraph text in generally any software before you start. So even with Word, you can set Open Sans as your main font at a specific H1 size, H2 size. So that's just kind of like making sure that you're formatting your documentations or your presentations properly. So that way, when you're looking at them and you can have this huge meltdown, like, man, this just doesn't look professional. Why does it not look professional? And it's because in most cases, it's because of the design. Now, here's something that I also do. And this is because everything in my world sometimes boils down to its final design. So I always make a personal note to grab typography anytime that I see typography that I like and that's good. So let me just give an example of that. So typography in this case is anytime somebody's had to lay out some text, okay? And oftentimes you find yourself in this position where you need to create a flyer or something like that, and you're looking for some inspiration so that way it at least gets dialed in enough so that it looks well, and then you kind of take it from there. So let's say, for instance, this flyer, it's a pretty nice looking flyer. Now, some of the techniques being used here for the graphic design are actually a lot more easier than they look. However, what we're looking at is the typography, the actual text. And so what you'll find is there's these things that make things look professional that sometimes are missed when you're designing something, and you have no clue unless you're a designer where you missed it. So like, let's say for instance, yoga is written here really big, but this Vida e Naturaliza, I guess that's how you pronounce that, is actually thin text. It's the same font, but it's the thin text version of that font. And it's fitting on 2 lines. And then there's a small one down here that it's fitting on 2 lines, and it's almost as thick as the same. So you have a big, this is half of that, and this is half of this. And that is actually something that is done in design on purpose as a person who knows design, because it's what creates the feel that this is a professional flyer. Notice up here, they did somewhat of that same thing. It's a little blurry, so we're gonna go ahead and take another one. And in fact, let's sort this by the date modified, because I always progressively get better with my typography. And it's funny because when you look at that and then you see these, you can start seeing somewhat of a trend here. And I just, I save these anytime I see one. Like, okay, they kind of nailed it there. I save this because getting white text on a white background is really the key to minimalism, but it's not all white. There's this like off blue light color that accents white. There's this light gray color that accents white. And all those are equally important, but in the end, you get this extremely minimalist looking design. That comes from Typeform. We saw that earlier. All of that, it would seem so easy when you got ready to set up your site that I'm just gonna put my words here, my explanation here, my thing here. But all those little, like the round button, right? And this is not round here. There's an offset here of the colors. It's white and that off blue or gray that we're seeing as a trend. And so basically you start finding these typography trends, and you're able to nail in, either future design, color combinations. Like you see that this gradient, which is killing it these days, the gradient on top of the black, these are also called web colors. They're not colors that can be achieved in real life. They only can be achieved on computers. So being able to have all that, even your minimalist footer. So all this stuff, that minimalist header or base of sometimes you're just trying to dial this stuff in and it could take hours. So it's always good to have these kind of, well, how did that work? I just wanted simple text, simple color. What is that supposed to look like? So I can go into my typography to achieve that. So what I placed here for everyone to kind of to be aware of towards the end of this document is actually the font sets that I feel like that everybody is using now and that work really well. And obviously Open Sans has won the Font of the Year award. It may go 2 years in a row, and it's just because it's something about it. It just locks right in. So if you wanted to add Open Sans to your software suite, or which means your Word documents, anything in your computer, you only need to go to Google and you simply download the file. I think you do that here. Let me see here. What do they got going on? Blah, 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 blah. Add this font. So you select this font here. It pops up on the bottom. Still always wonder why they do it this way. When you open it up here, it allows you to download then the complete suite of Open Sans, because Open Sans is not just one font. And that's one last addendum on this. Remember, all those fonts that you'll see, they have these different versions. Open Sans Light is that's the most used font right now. That's what you see on a lot of websites, and it looks really trendy and modern. They work with regular as an offset and an accent to light, when you need something to be a little bit more darker, but not bold, because semi-bold then starts to drive it into kind of like a harder looking font. And then you have this pair up, as I marked here, between Open Sans, Play Fair Display, and then also Lato, which is fonts that you can check out on your own time. But you'll see that these fonts, especially just Open Sans by itself, light and regular, when you start building any kind of text document in those fonts, you find yourself getting to more of that appeal of like, yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm nailing it. It's working. This is it. All right. So that actually brings us to the point in time where it would be good to first take a break. And then when we come forward, we're going to check with Mark, see if he's made it in. We did have a time adjustment today, so it's kind of like right on time for him, but he may need a few more minutes to get settled. And then what we're going to be talking about is digital assets. But he's going to be talking about the digital asset that he created. And the reason why these digital assets are important is because obviously I want to make the announcement completely at the end of this presentation that I want now for this next month, or not want, but have to, by the end of this month, everything that we're talking about in relation to push button access for ambassadors to not only deploy things that are going to make them money, but also things that are going to allow them to assist others in certain ways, it has to be done. And because we're moving pretty fast on our process, but time is also moving just as fast. And there's a big need for us not only to get specialists back into the loop, but also just really have ambassadors deploying things at the push of a button. So I personally need to spend the time in doing that. So that's actually what I'm going to be preparing for this month and doing. And Mark will be coming in and talking about his digital asset, because one of the things that we talked about earlier, a little bit early in the year, not too long ago, is that we are going to basically create a marketplace for ambassadors. And what this means is that things that ambassadors offer, and I would even like it to boil even into their actual skill set services. Like I think Umberto was on the line. He works legal. He's a lawyer. So it would be lovely to have an area where if a person needs a conscious lawyer for something specifically, that they can actually go right through that portal and find that lawyer inside of our network. But even beyond that, those who have something that they need to create, like they're teaching meditation courses or those kind of things, we've talked about getting it to a point where it becomes a formulated digital asset. This is where it's already packaged and ready to go, and it can be sold online. And the importance of that is that when our marketplace starts, we'll be able to take those assets and be able to put them right into our marketplace and expose those assets to the hundreds of thousands of people that we will have coming across the platform, especially as we're doing our marketing. However, what we don't want is we don't want to dilute the content that we already have and that we're spending so much time creating with something that maybe wasn't put together as sound. And so what we want to do is start building training around digital assets. So this is the first part of that training, if you may, where others will be able to actually begin to develop or start developing an idea of what they can create that's involved in their uniqueness, that they can then begin to bring to the worldwide community on the internet. So again, before we get into that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And then I see Mark is actually in the house, which is dope. So when we come forward in about 10 minutes, we're going to go ahead and he's going to jump in, and then we're going to close out. I'll see you in just a moment. Okay. There is a quick question that I'll cover why Mark's getting himself prepared, because he's going to need to turn on the screen and things for me to give him the proper permissions. Well, there he goes right there. So he's ready. So right before we jump in, I will answer Umberto's question really briefly about the streaming software that we're using to broadcast this fantastic Keymakers, and also that we're going to be using for Mindful TV. And let me just turn on my screen share just really quick to browse through that. I'm actually using, after all of the softwares that I went through and all the setups that I put together, which was quite lengthy, I agreed that Streamlabs was the best setup for me. So Streamlabs is a software, and there's plenty of tutorials on it. The studio version actually only works in the PC software and actually on iPads and things. It doesn't work on the actual OS operating system yet, but you're able to do all of the adjustments and things actually from the browser. But the main way you deploy this is you need the PC to have it on that you're running all your stuff off of. And of course, I can talk to you about this on another side conversation. But just for everyone to know, I'm using Streamlabs in conjunction with Restream. And I feel like Restream is a very powerful tool because it allows not only you to have the ability to stream to multiple channels at one time, but it also gives you the ability to be able to manage things like the chat and all of the stuff that goes on those multiple streams. So as you can see here, I actually have my personal Facebook channel. I have my Twitch channel. I have mainly my YouTube channel, and I have two more of my Facebook channels all tied into Restream. So that way, when I go live from the Streamlabs setup, which is the one that's hosting my camera and hosting all the stuff that I'm showing during the show, it actually goes live to all these locations at one time. So that's pretty immense, but that is the pair up. It's between Streamlabs, and you could just use that as a standalone. Streamlabs allows you to stream to one service at a time. So you could stream right to your Facebook. You can stream right to your YouTube. But if you want to take advantage of the simulcasting to stream to multiple locations, then you need to have Streamlabs just stream to Restream, and then Restream sends it out to everybody else. And this kind of stuff was so confusing for me in the beginning, and I didn't find really much help on it, ironically. But when it comes to also designing your Streamlabs page and anything that you need done in relation to this, there are quite a few really good tutorials on YouTube, because this is also the #1 gaming software as far as gamers using Streamlabs to stream their games. But it also can be used to stream other content, such as like what we're doing with it. So that's what's up. And of course, if you need any more details, Ace, I'm always available for you for that. And but that is the combination that I'm using. So hopefully that just gets those immediate questions out of the way. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen capture here. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in our brother Mark. He's going to take it home for us today and show us what he's been working on and how he's put it together. You know, he's always driven with putting his stuff together and the things that he's creating. And I got a chance to look at a page that he recently created, and I was like, man, you got to get in and tell everybody about this thing, because it's smoking and it's ready. And I honestly feel like he got it done quite fast. And again, I know Mike helped him with it. Thanks a lot, Mike, for, you know, just lending all the assistance that you have been with the tribe and those who need help with the technical integrations and working things through on a business level. And so here we go. Let me go ahead and mute my line.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Man, thank you all for being here. I just want to first off honor the flexibility, because I definitely just moved from one space into another. And want to give thanks for this moment that we're all connected here. Full classroom, powerful ambassador training. And thank you, thank you to the ancestors for holding this space, for this connection as we move forward into all of our collective projections. And man, thank you, Savan, for giving me this platform to share what I've been working on. It's a deep honor. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I'm Mark Anthony Roman, and today we're going to get into free tools on how to create and market your course. I do want to say from the beginning that I'm not an expert, but I have used the tools that have been given to me to get this going in quite, you know, a fast time, as Savan mentioned. So I will be sharing several frameworks that helped me get it along faster, because basically when you can put your idea into a framework quickly, I just want to put my video on here. Here we go. You guys can still see me there, right? If I go over here, should be good. Okay, so yes, I have been able to get this going quickly, and that's because of the frameworks that I've used to basically put your idea into a packaged format that makes it easy for you to understand and for the people on the other side to understand. So it's kind of like putting, as Savan always says, putting your idea in seed form so that it's easy to be recognized for what it is. It's like, okay, I know what that is. I know what I'm getting from it. I know what value I'm receiving from it, which is very important for all of us. So free tools, create and market your course. I am the inner trainer, and let's get started. So the free tools we're going to be going through in this course, I'm approaching this as a course just so that you get the whole essence of it in the now moment, right? So these are free tools, proven conceptual frameworks. These frameworks, as I mentioned, help you put your idea into seed form, your course idea. MailChimp landing pages, which are huge resources. PayPal business button, so you can receive payments. Instagram, so that you can market to your audience. Now, the ones in bold are the ones that are necessary. The rest underneath are optional, but very, very useful. So that's Facebook, Later, Later is a auto publishing, publish to Instagram for, you can get up to 30 posts a month for free auto publish. And we'll go into that later. So YouTube, Unsplash for all your images, and Typeform for collecting information from your potential students. All right, so by the end of this course, again, I'm approaching this as a course, you should understand how to package your raw idea into a workable framework, which attracts paying students for free, who in turn validate the course to scale. So you actually want to get your students first, have them paid, confirmed, so that your course idea is actually validated by the market before you put in all this effort, intention, and energy into building out the entire course, and then finding out later that not that many people are actually ready to receive it, at that time. So it's very important that you touch the market, or as I say, you ping the market, you ping your students. So the action plan. So as I said, the plan is to have students registered and paid for your course before you actually build the course. So this will validate your course concept. It gives you the funds you need to invest in a course hosting platform and or any course developers, and possibly any resources to bring high value to the course. For example, a solid webcam, a microphone, illustrators for illustrating diagrams or certain animations you may want to do, and etc. So this allows you to properly set your foundation to scale big. So again, if you understand that this amount of people are interested in this course, and I know how to touch them, I know what's getting them excited, I know what I can offer, and you're very clear on all of that, it allows you to actually build your course first, or excuse me, get your course funded first, so that you can build it out later. And again, you want to make sure that that need, that demand is there before you actually go into investing in creating a course that you're not sure who's on the other end of, who is on the other end that's ready to receive it. So our action plan has 6 steps. So the first step is your raw course idea. This course idea should come from your excitement. What are you excited about? And also, what already has legs? What already has momentum in your reality? We're not trying to resurrect a dead horse here. What is already running in your reality? What is already showing itself to you, confirmation after confirmation, that this is what is being asked of me now. This is what people are excited about. And also your uniqueness, your skills, your experience, your confidence and capability, as well as your culture add. Now, this is a conceptual framework that actually creates your differentiation within the market. And so we're going to get deeper into some of these concepts, but let's get on. So step 2 is to refine your topic. And you refine your topic by putting it into a minimum viable course, which is a framework that essentially says, what is the skeleton? What is the bare bones version of my course? It's kind of like a rough draft that you put out into the market to see if anyone will purchase it, would they buy it? And if yes, then you have a validation, right? Then you have that sureness, you have that confidence, that certainty. Now, that refined topic should respond to a collective need. This is where mindfulness comes in. This is where we talk about, are we considering those that are on the other side, and what are they experiencing right now? Are we responding to a collective need? Value. What kind of value are we actually providing? So a lot of times value comes from solving a problem, but are all problems that you can solve, do they actually add value to someone's life, right? Like, let's say I have a problem where it's hard for me to put my shoes on in the morning. Well, it would seem like that's not that big of a deal, but somebody went and created a shoe that had no laces. or actually created a shoe that had laces so that your shoe would never fall off. So like these little things. Sometimes these marketers, they'll create problems just to solve them. And there's that going on too. But we're operating from, karma-free wealth. We want to be in our dharma, on that alignment, on that path, on that purpose. So we want to actually bring true, real solutions to what people are actually experiencing. So we want to get into value. Now, Brother Savan, I know we wanted to have a conversation about value. I don't know if you want to have that conversation now or if you had that conversation already, but if so, this would be a good time to talk about value if you have any insights that you want to offer.
I really feel like you nailed it right there, especially in relation to just understanding the need of other people and not just your own needs, and understanding when you can fulfill those needs, that really is what really creates something powerful. That's the basic concepts to business products and anything that you're offering that you expect to catch traction with. So I believe that you just really nailed it with just in getting that value means why it's going to work out and how it's not going to lead to some level of disappointment for you, especially if you put time and effort into it.
Beautiful. Perfect. Thank you, brother.
No doubt.
And finally, refining the topic, we want to framework our topic. So a framework is how we represent our content. It's how we put our information into a way to be easily received, digested, conceptualized by those that are on the other side. Sometimes we get so excited and we're such a multidimensional existence that we want to share all of that at all times. And I've been guilty of this. When I was first early on Instagram, I would be, and even introducing myself and say, oh, I'm an artist, I'm a singer, I'm a writer, I'm a personal trainer, I'm a motivational speaker, I'm a life coach. And all of these things, people actually couldn't get to what are you actually about, because it's so big, you can't even take them anywhere deep. You're just taking them wide. So what I've witnessed is that when I just made it really simple, hey, I'm a trainer, that's it. That actually took me way further than trying to say that I'm all these other things. Because in truth, I'm not even all those things either. I'm not even just a trainer, just a singer, just an artist or any of that, or just a writer. You're so many things. So giving them just one door to open, that's very clear. What's behind that door is infinite. Just give them the opportunity to say, okay, I trust you, and I'll take the plunge with you. And that's what frameworking really does, is that it makes it easy to say, what kind of door am I even opening? What am I even getting into? So these are very important steps. That's why they're in red, refining the topic before we even go into the productivity tools of how to even start accepting payments, attracting customers, and getting your students. Step 3 is putting yourself in the position to receive, right? So we want to put ourselves in the position to receive. And this is where the landing page comes in. This is where the MailChimp landing page, putting your payment options, and making sure that landing page has a beautiful flow to it, that every time there's an opt-in, there's an ability for somebody to receive you, to get into what you're doing. And right here, hold space in your consciousness for X amount of students. Now, this is very important. This is both practical and metaphysical. Metaphysical truly should join in the practical. Now, let's say for my course, I'm having a first class of 12 students, right? So I hold space in my consciousness before they even show up for 12 students, 12 people. I need to expand myself to be able to be responsible for 12 people. They're coming to me with the expectation of a transformation. They're coming to me trusting that the authority and expertise that I brought forward will take them to where they need to go, or they're hoping to go. So before they even arrive, I hold space for that. And so that's time and space, right? Because if you have 12 students arriving, that means you have time to address 12 people. Now, just thinking about what happens energetically when you hold space for something, right? What happens when we get into the sacred ceremony? We say we're holding space, right? Or the ancestors are holding space for us. Essentially, whatever vibration, whatever energy that you hold, the level of vibration that you hold in that space, the resonant energies, the resonant beings are going to come to populate that space, right? So what kind of students do you actually want to train? What kind of students do you want to teach? And for me, I want to train somebody who's excited to receive me, who's ready to learn, who doesn't have that ego in the way, that they're ready to actually get into the next level of themselves. There's a questioning, but it's the questioning with the need and the desire to understand or understand. It's not for questioning just to create resistance for no reason. There's no hiding from the truth. We're going deeper, and you're on it. You know that there's something here for you, and you're right there. I want those types of students. So I would really tune into what kind of student are you holding space in your consciousness for? Just think about Savan. I believe there's 100, 110, 120 people in ambassador training right now. He's holding space in his consciousness. Trust that everyone here is a valued member of this community, of this tribe. And everybody here, he does feel responsible for. So he's held space so that everybody, you know, when you know what somebody is receiving, even as a group, as a collective, like what are people receiving, what are people asking for, what do people need right now, all of that comes into mindfulness, and you want to hold that space before they even arrive, for the responsibility part, but also for the part of your highest fulfillment. What kind of student do you even want to work with? When you put yourself in the position to receive, you also determine your course value. How much will this course cost? And how much are you willing to receive right now? Step 4, we ping our students. So ping is the sound of like when you tap on glass, you're like ding, ding. But it's also a computer term that means that you've sent in a query. So a query, like an inquiry, like a are you there? So when a server is checking into my laptop to see if my IP address or my laptop is connected to this IP address, the server sends out a ping, and it's basically saying, hey, are you there? Are you there? Are you there? So with pinging your students, this is what I call marketing. Like you go and you ping them saying, hey, are you excited? Are you interested? Are you interested? This is where we're at. I'm holding space for you. We got the space. Look at all this space. We got space for 12 students. Are you there? Who's there? Who's resonating? And so we gauge excitement and interest by putting your MVC, that minimum viable course, into tasty content. And I'm going to get into tasty content later, but the whole purpose of tasty content is to identify your most valuable premium or most valuable payers, your most valuable customers, so to speak. Number 5, receive your students. We get the paid signups, your welcome emails, you're welcoming them in, right? There needs to be a transition point where you're welcoming them in. It's not just take, not just sign up, receive the payment, and then they're in limbo. You want to welcome them in, collect the information. If you have Typeform, I would use it, or you could use any other information gathering software, but Typeform is a beautiful form software. And then you want to share information as we're leading up to the course launch date. Share information, maybe in newsletter format, or perhaps you have a group orientation. Orientation is very important, getting people orientated, or affiliated, or just acclimated. That's the word I'm looking for. Acclimated with where we're going into. What is the lingo? What is the the key words, the key terms? Getting really sharp on what are you getting into? What are you expecting from this process? And are you ready? Also, waivers are really important during this part. I've experienced that having some sort of waiver that affirms the level of that results come from the level of commitment to the process. A very important part in this receiving of your students. Step 6. So we proceed with building the course, or if it didn't work out, if let's say you didn't fill the number that you needed for your course, then it's time to regroup and head back to step 1 and use another idea. Now, as Brother Mike said, he said, hey, if that happens, then you dodged a cosmic bullet. It's okay. The people that did sign up, you want to refund their money, send them, a very sincere, apologetic email, and move them into either an affiliate offer, or tell them, to stick around for an update on your next course in the future. Because if you moved forward with a course and invested hundreds, of dollars, maybe even 1,000 or more into something that wasn't actually going to scale, then you dodged a cosmic bullet. So we keep moving forward every time. This is the action plan. So step 1, guideposts for choosing your course topic. Remember, you are already an expert. You have experienced unique experiences that nobody has ever had before, and you've had many transformations along this path, especially if you're here connected to this tribe. So what have you experienced? Empower yourself. You are an expert. Choose something that you know. Very important. When you choose something that you know, you can stand on that with confidence. It only has to be one thing. I wouldn't choose something that you're learning right now, or something that you're on the edge, not like your personal edge. We all have our personal edge of consciousness where we're expanding into, but you want to stay in the realm of something that you know when you're teaching, because that's integrity. So personally, I would teach about the chakras, right? I would teach about how to access your meditative state easily, accessibly, because I can do that all day. Now, what I wouldn't teach is like Kundalini activation, through a course, because I'm still in that process, right? Or even how to astral project every night because I'm not currently there yet. So I experience these things, but it's not something that I know. You want to speak to something that you know. Also, what are you excited to share? This is very important because the levels of details that are during this process, and you want to have the excitement that keeps you going. Excitement is also source alignment. It's your spirit, your soul saying that this is where we want to be. This is where my energy is pouring into, and you're going into it with that same energy every day, or even more. It's stacking on top of each other. What already has legs? So what already has momentum in your reality? Again, what is already showing you that there's a need, there's a call? Your culture add. What do you add to the culture? We're going to get into that right now. So what is your culture add? Your culture add is your cultural advantage, your circumstances, your identity, where you've been and why, what you've achieved and how. All of these are essentially how do you differentiate yourself in your market, essentially by saying what you bring to your market. A lot of times in marketing, they try to separate people and say divisive, like this person is not like that one, so they go in this group. And these people are not like those, so we're going to put them in this group. But what do you add to the market? Let's flip it inside out and say, what do you add to the market? What have you achieved and how? Who have you helped along the way? Who and what have you taken a stand for? And I would screenshot this next screen right here. So how to uncover your culture ad, you create your brag bank. And you go through and create a personal resume answering all of these questions. And you'll probably be surprised about how capable you are, how much you've actually done, and who you've helped, and how much you've actually changed lives and changed your own. Transformation is powerful. You're changing your whole life. You're shifting your awareness. So definitely screenshot this page. Get it. If you're feeling called to create a course and you're wondering where to start, I would screenshot this page and get that momentum going. So I received these frameworks on conceptualizing the culture ad, the tasty content, from this woman named Danielle Leslie. And Danielle Leslie had free webinars on creating a course from scratch. And she had 3 secrets to creating this course that literally I just took great notes and just moved forward with what I had, and everything lined up for me. So secret number 1, you can select a course topic that's guaranteed to transform others if you create a course around your culture ad. Guaranteed to transform others. You want to create a transformation. This is called client activation in personal training. When you meet somebody, after that first session, do they feel that shift? Do they feel that spark? They feel that something's changing, something's happening. If it takes a long time for somebody to feel the transformation, they may not stick around for the whole process, and then you lose the transformation. And that reflects on your own capability because that's a failure in a certain sense. And then they may have some sort of aversion to going up through this process in the future. And we definitely don't want that. So you want to guarantee transformations as much as you can. So the 3 secrets, I would screenshot this page as well. Secret number 1, select the topic around your culture ad. We spoke about that. To guarantee you are differentiated in your niche. Secret number 2, create an MVC, minimum viable course that you can market online even if you don't have a following. So even if you guys have like 100 followers, that's fine. You know what I'm saying? If you have 50 followers, that's fine. You just get started, get flowing. Just think about 50 people. Put 50 people in your room right now. You know what I'm saying? And consider that for a moment and see if you could imagine yourself speaking to all of them, you know? Because even for a course, this first course, I'm only looking for 12. So even if you don't have a following, you could get going. Secret number 3, create tasty content to convert your MVPs to enroll. And again, MVPs is most valuable payers. Tasty content we'll get into later, but it's essentially high converting content. Refining your course topics. Start with the end, right? If you remember season 1, ambassador training, Brother Savan brought forward Stephen Covey's 7 highly successful habits of 7 habits of highly successful people, and one of them was start with the end, right? So you want to start with the transformation. What transformation can you promise? If you could promise one transformation, what would it be? And it could be, let it be very simple, let it be very grounded, very, 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 very black and white, right? It could be very simple, and in that simplicity, you'll find value. So I have some examples here. For example, by the end of this course, you will know how to quickly diagnose your dreams by chakra correspondence, right? So let's say you're having a course on diagnosing your dreams and you're saying, I'm using a chakra-based approach. Every time you're having sexual demons, that's a sacral thing going on. We got to clear it out, clear out your relationship to sexuality, purify it. Let's say you're having some type of loss. You experience loss every time, or you're dying in your dreams all the time. Perhaps that's a root-based issue, and how we would approach that. And let's get you to feel safe in your reality, or safe at a very deep level. Another example, you will wire wrap 7 crystals or gems in copper wire in 9 different patterns by the end of this course. So this is a transformation. Before I took this course, I did not know how to copper wire wrap any crystals or gems, right? But by the end of this course, I will have wrapped 7 crystals in 9 different patterns by the end of this course. That's a transformation. Before I entered this course, I didn't know how to do this. After this course, I do know. That's a transformation. Very simple, but that's a transformation. Even if somebody doesn't know how to tie a tie, that's a transformation. If you taught them how to tie their tie, that's a transformation. Third example, you will consciously go beyond the body 7 times in this 30-day class, right? Another transformation. They weren't able to do something, and now they are. And if you can ground it into simplicity, sometimes numbers help, because like, okay, 3 times, if I could get you to do this 3 times, if I could get you to do this 7 times, that really grounds you. You don't always have to do numbers, but just an idea about, helps you get along that wavelength of really grounding your idea into seed form. Your minimum viable course. So your minimum viable course consists of 4 parts. The first one, as we just went into, is the big promise, the one result that you promise, okay? 2, milestones, 3 to 5 big steps to getting to your results. So if I was to go into wire wrapping a crystal, what are those 3 to 5 big steps? The first one would be collecting my tools, right? The second would be collecting my crystals and gems. Perhaps I would commune with the crystals and gems. And then I would commune even with the copper. And then I would get into doing certain patterns based on what kind of creation I want to have, right? So what kind of steps? What are the steps to get into your results? 3, the methodology. You want to create your own systematic methodology. And this is what often will lead you into your niche. Having your own methodology will lead you into your niche. Very powerful. We'll get into how to do that as well. 4, coaching. Offer one-on-one or group coaching. If you're just starting, I would definitely offer one-on-one or group coaching, because it allows you to get, intrinsic with everyone, and allows you to get, swim in the vibration of what's going on inside of your course. Again, does this respond to a need in the collective when you're creating your minimum viable course as you're refining it? And does this provide value? I would screenshot this page as well, so you can have it. I could even upload share this document, these slides, if you guys want to have them for later in the future. So frameworking MVC, your minimum viable course. In your framework, you want to develop your own vocabulary. So I have some examples here about how Savan has done it with secret energy in the university. So, for example, the fake matrix. Who else do you see is talking about the fake matrix, right? If you hear fake matrix, we're speaking about secret energy, Savan Bomar, astral quest, in some way, understanding. Oh, that's another one, understanding. I haven't heard understanding before this, right? Or even wholeness is more common, but where do you hear that though, right? Where do you hear it as consistent? That's a methodology, because it's driving home certain values and certain principles within the entire, that's part of the framework. Challenge common misconceptions. Now, if you were there for Kali, episode 1 of the Keymakers yesterday, one of the questions was about, can all of this history lead us to unconditional love? And so Savan challenged some common misconceptions about unconditional love and said, unconditional love, what is that? Well, actually, it's unconditional selfishness, because if you love others so much, you would do that for yourself. And in that, you'll actually be able to provide for others. But everything in this reality is related to how are you serving or providing for self. Create your own value system and tribe. For example, we got tribe. Tribe is right here. Now, you want to tie in the story and context around your framework. So this is very important, so that story and context, it's a conceptual reference point, so that every time that framework comes in, it rings for you on a larger level, and you feel it through your being. So, we know Savant's story with Secret Energy, right? 7, 8, 9 years of doing this inner work and bringing it to the masses and whoever resonates with it and doing this work. So all of that story, that context, it really dives deep for many reasons, many reasons. And Danielle Leslie, she says, all you need is one framework. And she kind of makes a play off of Nas. She says, all you need is one mic, but really all you need is one framework. Are you guys able to hear me with the vacuum going? Can I get a...
Absolutely. Everything's been crystal clear, brother.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. So Danielle Leslie, she'll say, all you need is one framework. So really all you need is one so that you can keep it going. So frameworking, we have two major categories. You have graduation, which is sequential, and collection, which is non-sequential. So if you see over here, we have the yugas, right? You got Satya Yuga, Tretya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, which is where we're at, and then into Satya Yuga. So this is the ascending flow, and this is the descending flow. Now, this is a graduation, right? This is a cycle. And in these cycles, this is how a framework of massive levels of information about consciousness and how it rises and falls are being clearly communicated through this framework of graduation. Now, this is Maslow's pyramid of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So physiological, safety, love, belonging, esteem, self-actualization. So you can see how these are sequential. These build off of one another, right? One after the other, one after the next, one before the last, right? Now these are collection, non-sequential. So these are a collection of principles or major ideas. So right here we have the top 5 regrets of the dying. And this is a very popular book from a woman in Australia that is just essentially the top 5 regrets, but in no particular order, right? Then we also have the same brother, Stephen Covey, the time management matrix, right? Again, I feel like we all need a refresher on this one from Ambassador Training Season 1. Urgent and important, important but not so urgent. This is how you prioritize your needs. Urgent but not important, and not important nor urgent. So these you shouldn't even be doing, not important or urgent. Urgent and important, they need to be your top priority. These you'll do right after these, and these you'll schedule in somehow. So you can see this, right? These are collections, and so because these aren't in any particular order, these are ranked by priority, but not necessarily like do this before that, because sometimes urgent needs to happen before urgent and important, just based on the urgency. You know what I'm saying? And then these are graduation; they build off one another. Now, Danielle Leslie uses her frameworks to create another framework. So acronym, matrix, pyramid, listicle, formula, your creation. And this is a acronym for framework that spells amplify, so that you can remember. So the acronym, for example, my framework for my course called Orgasmic Living, How to Bliss Your Way Through Meditation and Life, is IMA. IMA. And so IMA is essentially my conceptual framework for compressing or condensing all of what I want people to recognize, that they have access to bliss in any moment right now. So this stands for instantaneous magnetic momentum aggregating Ananda. And so Ananda means bliss. Ima in Tamil means snow. And it comes from the word Himalaya, right? So Himalaya. Now, Himalaya means the abode of snow. Now, again, this is the story in the context of my framework, right? So now getting into the story, I went to Colombia. I met the Arhuaco indigenous, and they wore these white hats, these tall white hats. And these hats are actually Moorish hats. They're the same type of hats that they wore in Upper and Lower Kemet, except without the snake, right? So, but the long backs, you'll see these in the Dogon tribes too. So these hats, we asked them, like, what were they about? And they said so that we could be like the mountain. And so they wore it up top so they resembled a mountain, and their clothes, they wore them so that rivers, the patterns on their clothes represented rivers. It symbolized rivers. Everything that they did was in representation and honoring nature, because they wanted to be as close to nature as possible, as close to the origin point as possible. So Ima, the Himalaya mountains, sitting at the top of your skull, right? Top of the spine. You could even consider that third eye and how that pyramid will come up and sit at the holiest of holies. And that coolness, bliss is such a coolness feeling. It's this, it even feels like snow. No matter what you're going through, it gives you this cool clarity. And that's what wisdom is cool clarity. And bliss, when you let go of the whole game, that non-attachment, you come into clarity, right? And so that's why it's orgasmic, you come into clarity. So everything, even what happens when you see somebody having an orgasmic experience, what happens, right? They step up and back, in and up, right? So it's this feeling of going into this cool clarity. And so that's what EMA is about. Now, matrix, the time management matrix, pyramid, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So these are examples. Listicle, for example, the top 5 regrets of the dying, even Stephen Covey's top 7 habits of highly successful people. Formula, EMA. So formula is essentially that you can change the word, you can change the sequence, and it'll always add up to that last thing. So EMA kind of works in both ways. It does work, doesn't kind of work. Instantaneous, magnetic, momentum, aggregating, ananda. If I have my instantaneous intention, the magnetism that I know is present in my field, and the momentum aggregating, I know that each breath, each moment is stacking on top of the next and stacking on top of the last, it will equal ananda. I will reach ananda. And ananda comes in layers and in waves. And finally, you have your creation. Perhaps you create something greater. We're all highly creative, and you may originate something entirely new. Maybe you do some type of ethereal mind map, right? So step 3, let's position ourselves to receive. So all of that just now, all of that frameworking, I would even screenshot this if you need to. All of that frameworking, that's so that we have our course idea in seed form, right? Now let's put ourselves in a position to receive. Let's find out if people are there, excited, and willing to receive us. So your landing page flow. Your landing page should have a nice flow, and I got this from Mike Tiers, Brother Mike Tiers in the tribe, Ambassador Tribe. So benefit number 1, it comes in a series of benefits and opt-ins. So benefit number 1, you want to have a video. Opt-in. An opt-in is basically an agreement to continue this path with someone, saying I opt in to further communication with you, or opt in to whatever you're offering. So an opt-in can be a purchase, it could be a sale, a sign-up, an enrollment, or it could be somebody who says, you know, I'm not ready to buy right now, but I will subscribe to your newsletter and receive updates for the course as it rolls out. Benefit number 2, what exactly do I get for X amount of money? What am I getting from my money? So this is where you get into the course description. You list it out clearly. Opt in. Benefit number 3, I promise this is worth your time, and testimonials. Opt in, right? So this is where you're, again, communicating that value. Why is this worth their time? And any testimonials that you might have had. I ran my course in one class. I had one class that I was running a course. So this is the way it worked. I actually had something that had legs already in my reality. So I'm gonna show you where this came from. So I had done for the Ambassador Tribe an intro to orgasmic living and intentional arousal class, right, for the tribe. And that class went really well. That was in April of this year, or May. No, April. I think it was April 22nd, something like that. And so what I ended up doing, I said, that was a great class, so let me put together some sort of course package for people. And so I created the Inner Gym. And then my brother and mentor, Shalom Melchizedek, he said, yo, that orgasmic living looks crazy, man. Looks crazy. Like, you got to do something with that. And then somebody else reached out to me and said, hey, what's up with that orgasmic living? So these all 3 together were great. And I had somebody in the tribe, Brandy, actually go through this process with me, and it was amazing. And so this right here was something that I wanted to dig in deeper. So this had legs in my reality, is what I'm saying. This already had momentum, right? So taking that, I said, okay, let's get into it then, right? So let's go to the course page so I could show you how my flow went, right? So I have a little bit of this MailChimp landing page created completely from MailChimp. And I have a image, a photo from Unsplash. And it should be loading up here any moment. Let's see. Here we go. Right, and you want it to capture the essence of what you're communicating across, right? So, boom. This woman is in bliss. She steps back, she's in it, she's in her inner experience, right? Because when we talk about orgasmic living, there's a lot of education that needs to happen around sex, around sexual energy, purifying it and making it sacred. So it's very important that your images communicate clearly what kind of work you're trying to do. I did have somebody reach out to me from that first ad that I showed you with the inner gym and all of that, that they were like, hey man, are you selling sex? I'm like, no, I'm not. I thought that was clear, man. No, it's not. So you got to communicate clearly, you know, what it's about. So I say it right here. Do you want to learn how to mindfully harness your orgasmic potential, right? This is somebody on the other side, you know, yes, you know, my orgasmic potential, I would love to, you know, and then mindfully communicating the integrity that I'm planning to move with. Now, this is a video from my How to Deal with Everything series called Sexual Energy. And this is straight from YouTube. This was actually from last year. So again, this had legs in my reality. I'm using what I've already done, right? I could make another video, and I probably will, so that I could communicate the information that's in words through the video, so there's less words on this page. But let's keep moving. Let's use what we have. And this was actually a great video. It's one of the best receptions I've had, in right next to my forgiveness video. So this speaks about sexual energy, and all of these concepts, they stay true to me. Now here's some information. Classes begin January 6, 2019. Pre-register now and receive a huge early bird discount at over 50% off. This offer will never be available again. So this is also something I want to speak about, which is for your first class, offer it. I was advised to offer it as a pre-sale, and this resonated with me. So I moved forward and said, yeah, let me offer it at 50% of what I was planning to offer it. I was planning to offer it at $444, and I was like, okay, I'll do 50%, and then we'll get those people in, because this first class, it does mean a lot, and I want to make sure that any kinks that are going through, right? Because this was originally scheduled for December, the first week of December, and then I looked at the calendar, and I'm like, you know, this is a very compressed, concentrated time for a lot of people. So let's start with the new year. Let's start January 6th. That's the first Monday of the new year. So video. So we got some benefit, opt-in, right? And then benefit, are you struggling with your thoughts and meditation? Having trouble accessing your energy? So these are addressing pain points, which gets into the tasty content. You wanna solve a problem for somebody. And so having trouble accessing your energy, are you feeling frustrated about your manifestations? Are you seeking to purify and circulate your sexual energy? These are big concepts, but this all comes through with bliss and understanding the circulation of your energy through your personal energetic field. And then if you said yes to any of these questions, then let this course serve you. And I was just flowing when I was creating this. My colors for my brand are this green and white and sometimes black. But somehow this purple showed up, and I'm like, hey, let's roll with the purple. And then you just flow with it, right? You just flow. It's about keeping that flow going. This is from Noun Project. I'm not sure if Savan shared it, but this image right here is from Noun Project, and it's a big database of icons, which are just amazing. So orgasmic living, how to bliss through meditation and life. You found yourself here. So this is, again, more information, basically saying, if we go back here, what exactly do I get for my money, right? Where are we at? Oh, excuse me, over here. What exactly do I get for my money? I go through instruction, accountability, and support will be delivered via, and got all of what's going to be coming through, okay? And then I have my testimonials as well. So again, I did some I offered the course as a one-on-one thing, so that I could go through some common, basically you want to do a crash course or just flow with it, right? So I went one-on-one with the intro to intentional arousal, and I was able to receive some testimonials, but also receive some gems throughout that process. For me, people want to talk about relationship. That comes up a lot. When we're talking about sexual energy, you're going to be in your consciousness, very present is going to be those that you've had sex with and why your relationship to your own energy may feel stagnant. So I realized that, and I said, okay, let's address that directly then in coming in this course. So then opt-in. Also have the opt-in to subscribe to the Orgasmic Living course update. So if you don't want to purchase, then you can go ahead and opt in. I have my bio, another testimonial, boom, right? So actually I do have 3 opt-ins, but I only have two purchase opt-ins, right? So I would say, you know, follow this. All of this is being done here on my page, but it was just in a bit of a different order and a little bit back to back. So let's continue. If you have any questions, put them in the Zoom chat as well. I'll definitely let me check out icons. Yep, now project. Boom. Okay, here we go. All right. So okay, let's continue. So we have in this page, we have these buttons, right? So you want to actually, again, put yourself in the position to receive. So we want this to lead to a place where you can receive payments, and you can actually do this for free through PayPal. So I would just sign in through my account. Boom. Let's see what we got here. Are you gonna sign me in? Dashlane. Yeah, I got the Dashlane tools after the last ambassador training about those tools. I was like, yeah, let me get on that Dashlane. Okay, so because I am the seller of this account, I can't purchase it with this account. So what I'm gonna do, that's okay. But you can see here that I could pay with my debit card too. It'll show you the course pre-sale, it shows you the tax, everything. But I'm gonna show you how to create this button real quick. So we're gonna log in. Boom, boom. Let me see, Dashlane pops up. Yep, boom. All right. Now, what's important is that we have a business account. Okay, so you do want to have a business account. It's still free, but you should have an LLC, or you may be able to list yourself as a sole proprietor. And, oh, I'm sorry, wait, I should go back and show you what I did just there. So let me start over. All right, so we're going to go to Tools, and we're going to go to All Tools right here. Boom, All Tools. And then we're going to go to, where are we at? PayPal buttons, right? You see PayPal buttons right here. And we have all these buttons. You can accept donations and contributions on your sites, recurring charges for subscriptions, which is cool, automatic billing for monthly prices. But we're going to just do right now a buy now button. So just a one-time buy for a single item. But you do have plenty of options. Boom. All right. So you're going to go to this back end page, and let's say we're going to sell, man, what's the name of this item? This is the course creation, man, full spectrum takeoff, you know, takeoff. All right. And the price, we're going to say is 2,000 joules. And all of this, you actually don't need. Let's drop down all of this. We don't need any of that. Shipping, this is a digital product, so we're not shipping unless you want to provide value in that way. But maybe you make projectors for your clients, right? Maybe you write them letters. You know what I'm saying? So something you could include the price of shipping if you like, the tax rate. So when you're doing PayPal transactions via business, what you definitely want to do, they take 2.9% plus 30 cents, right? So what this generally comes out to is about 3%. So I put 3% here in the tax rate. And for me, it also works out numerologically because I like the lineup with the Eniology, the 369. So we're good there. And very simple, boom. We come up to the create button. Boom, okay. So they're going to ask us to select the code. You can embed it in your website with this code right here, or you can click email and wait. Yes, yeah, this is it. Boom. Right. And you can click email, and you can go into the back end of your MailChimp landing page, which I should show you how to make right now. So let's go into the dashboard. So this is MailChimp, MailChimp.com, free account. We're going to go to campaigns. And under campaigns, we're going to go to landing pages, but they already, mine's already here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to replicate this. So I just leave this as it is. I don't want to, we won't touch it. We're going to replicate it. And then I'm going to get into the design of the list. You're going to take that, boom. And I should have had another button down there, right? So let's say I took this button right here, boom, and I move it right there, boom, right? And I say buy now. And I put in the web address is that PayPal button. I just Control V, save and close, boom. And let's see, I'm gonna preview. Actually, let's put it underneath the last testimonial, all right? Put it right here, boom. And let's preview. They also show you a mobile version so that you can see how it looks on mobile, which is great, very important, because you're gonna list this in your Instagram, so it's very important that it looks good on mobile. Most people coming through mobile. And so we're gonna go all the way down. Buy now, boom. Let's see. Boom. All right. So you see up here, $2,060 for this course. The course name is Course Creation Full Spectrum Takeoff. If I wanted to pay with debit or credit card, I could just skip. So if somebody doesn't have a PayPal account, it's all good. You could pay directly with debit or credit as well. And you can do the whole checkout, everything here. Okay. So that's the PayPal, the landing page flow. And let's get into creating your content. All right. So we're going to ping our students now. So step 4. So just another recap. That's the landing page flow. So we're going to go to step 4 now, which is pinging your students. So tasty content. It's an acronym. That's a framework that Danielle Leslie uses to represent her content. So the acronym is teach, action steps, solves an urgent pain, transforms, and addresses their why. So teach. You want to teach something in every post that you're posting where you're marketing your course. Action steps. You want to have actionable steps, actionable actions that they can take after seeing your post, right? Whether it's go to the bio, read this, click here, DM me, or even doing something for themselves, like take a breath, or write down your 3 greatest dreams or something along those lines. So actionable steps, whether tangible or more intangible inner process, that's still providing value to someone. If you can provide value for free, people will trust you in the future. You know what I'm saying? So basically, I'm the type of person that I'm going to take as much I can and go as far as I can with that free stuff, and then I'm gonna be like, okay, this is definitely the way, or the way for me right now, and then I'll go ahead and invest, right? So I feel like a lot of people are like that, and if you could provide value nonstop on all of your platforms, if you can provide value nonstop, just upgrading, elevating people's lives by elevating your own, is basically you're blazing a trail through this world and you're sharing the gems along the way. All right, so solve an urgent pain. You want to address customer objections. So all of the yeah, but, any excuses. If you can address about 3 potential excuses, 3 is not a solid, concrete number. You can do 1, you can do 2. Just address an urgent pain point, something that's like, yeah. So for me, when I'm a meditation teacher, I'm a soul coach. So the common thing that I hear is like, I can't get past my thoughts in meditation. It's the most common thing, whether they're on a conscious path, I'll be at a conscious event, or somebody that just finds out I meditate, the meditation comes up, it's the first or second or third thing that comes out is, I can't get past my thoughts. So I address that objection quite often. Transform. So celebrate your wins, celebrate your own transformation. Where are you now? Because basically, where are they going, right? If they could be somewhat like you, if they could experience that transformation, you have to celebrate your own win so they can see that. and then the why addresses their why. So let's get some examples of tasty content, all right? So I'm going to go over here on my Instagram. I saved us a couple of posts. And let's start with Danielle Leslie right here, right? So she starts right off. She goes in hard with 3 pain points. I don't have enough time to make this happen. So she helps people create their courses. That's her thing. So need help creating and launching your online course? I don't have enough time to make this happen. I have no clue about the tech I needed for this. How do I guarantee it gets traction? What if it flops? Is this you talking yourself out of your blessings? Man, when I saw that, I was like, yo, she's coming hard. So I don't have enough. So addressing time, one of the biggest things, I don't have time. The tech, because of course creation online, people that for whatever reason, I feel like even in this tribe, you know, when we talk about technology, we start to get a little bit alienated because you're going to have to interface with it. But it's not as difficult as often we make it seem. It's more about just learning the instruction. So I have an answer. Join me live Wednesday, actionable step on my course from scratch masterclass. Go to danielleslie.com or link in bio, right? I've been behind dozens of course launches, everything from $2,000 to $70,000 launches. So use me as a resource, celebrating her wins. She's been behind $2,000 to $70,000 launches. Don't let fears, right? Still teaching, having my online courses has allowed me to work from anywhere and get paid to create dope content and help people all over the world, right? So this is the why. Why would you do all of this? So you can work from anywhere and get paid to create dope content and help people. That's a big why, right? So that's, you know, for us, essentially, it's that sovereignty, right? Get paid to create dope content, help people, work from anywhere, be in alignment with your dharma. So for me, how did I do it? You know, she's the expert, so, you know, I did my thing. Do you want to learn how to bliss your way through life and meditation with orgasmic energy? I can't get past my thoughts in meditation. Pain point. Whether beginner or experienced along the spiritual path, this is so often what I hear when talk of meditation comes up. So I'm teaching. It's understandable. You're a microcosmic universe living within a 15-dimensional time matrix. Many things are bound to come through. It's not whether the thoughts come up or not that matters. It's where you place your focus. Consider temptation. When temptation arises, what's critical is if you choose to feed these impulses or not. So I'm teaching here. Like somebody could walk away right now and say, yeah, you know, that's right. Like it's not about whether that McDonald's is there. It's whether I feed into it or not. Do I continue to feed my thoughts into it? It's not about if that woman with the tight leggings with the body that's making me lose my sense of self is over there. It's about how much am I feeding into that thought or not. And they'll say like, yeah, that, you know, if they walked away just now, that's value. So energy flows where attention goes. So I say place your focus on bliss. Let me see something. So that's also an actionable step, right? Place your focus on bliss. Whether the thoughts go away or not, it's not your main problem. Bliss is a high state of prime function. This is the why. When I'm in this state, major revelations and realizations come through and I'm not trying, I'm simply being. I feel that many of us on this path are really trying to receive this higher level of information, right? And it can be very hard, so to speak, difficult just by the amount of effort we're expending. But what if the information unlocks for you instead of you trying to go headstrong into it, you know? So I've witnessed with this bliss practice, just accessing bliss consistently and on demand, that I can go ahead and research all of it and then just take a step back and let it bathe me in that data. Let that data just wash over me, and then it starts to make sense and everything starts to connect. And I receive more consistent revelations and realizations this way than just reading. You know what I'm saying? Because then you embody the information. So I'm currently offering 12 students the opportunity to work with me. Did I hit all the tasty? Let me see. Did I hit all of the teach, actionable, solves an urgent pain? Transforms, yes. Transforms. So, well, this is transforms and the why, because this is what I've experienced. This is where I've gotten to. And these are the actionable steps and even some more information in this course through techniques like the orgasmic breath. This is me sharing some of my framework. We open the door to bliss in 3 breaths and simply focus on the magnificent feeling of accessing this state of being. All right, so that's another one. So let's see. This is the one I posted yesterday. It did pretty well. Got good engagement. You don't just want likes. You want people that comment, DM. You want people to purchase and convert. So I'll show you one more. And this gets into actually our talk directly today. Danielle Leslie, assets over everything. From October to December, my online course did over 80,000 in sales from Instagram. That's celebrating her wins. She usually starts with celebrating her wins. I've noticed that. She's been winning a lot, so you got to celebrate her. You know what I'm saying? So I'm holding a class on this. So click above or go to Danielle Leslie to attend. That is the actionable step. Action. You can click that right now. Go attend. I created one asset. She's teaching now. I created one asset, in this case, a masterclass that drives revenue to my business every week. One masterclass selling one product. I'm all about drawing a straight line from me to the cash and helping my members do the same. I also know my shiny ball syndrome will have me in these streets shooting a new video, designing a new freebie, launching a new product every week if it had its way. She's addressing pain points to a lot of content creators that they feel like they're always on the next. She calls it the shiny ball syndrome. They got to feel like they got to create that next content. It's got to be the next best thing. And a lot of content creators are like digging deep into the depths of themselves, trying to bring out this great content, edit videos, design a new freebie to give away, to build up their newsletter lists, all of this stuff. So she's addressing that, and she's challenging that misconception. I am not Jay-Z, so I had to stop with that. On to the next slide. If you're just getting started, I recommend focusing on building an asset. One asset you can market over and over again. My chosen asset is an online course. Now your asset here in this is often that framework. So Ima, I'm planning to take that as far as it's guiding me, because there's a lot as that is guiding me to. So it could become, let's say, a public speech, right? It could become public speaking engagements. It could become another presentation. It could become a lot of engagements. It could be a lot of things just because you have that fundamental framework. So that's what she's talking about, an asset, how dynamic that is. And that's why we're also bringing this forward in ambassador training, that having your asset, getting really clear on the framework in which you bring it forward can help you so deeply. One sales funnel that works like Santa's elves on Xmas Eve, but 365 days of the year. Start there before you go creating a new thing after new thing. That's what I've learned with a lot of trial and error in this game since 2011. So all of this she's teaching, right? In the past 6 weeks, because of the asset I created, I've had the honor to teach almost 500 people how to leverage Instagram to build their businesses. And that is a metric that aligns with my why and lines my pockets at the same damn time. So hold on, let's see. So she did teaching, she did action steps, she solved an urgent pain, transforms. Let's see, did she address their why? Let's see. Well, that's her why. So she said that is a metric that aligns me with my why and lines my pockets. So helping other people, how to help people become wealthy and abundant, that would be the why here, right? So if you're all about that one asset life, let's build. Comment below and then click above. Some more actionable steps. Comment below, click above, join me in the class. Also share this with a friend. That's another popular one. All right. So she has another one here. I won't get into it now. That was really good. I have this one, and I also have this one that I'm using the tasty method of creating this Instagram content. So what I'm recommending, which I'm actually doing right now, so I'm right here in the fold with you, I'm moving through it as well, is to use Later to ping your students with 30 days of tasty content and auto share those posts to Facebook. So Later is an auto publishing software that's free. You can get free for 30 Instagram posts for a month, right? And you can, so I have some posts here. These are from Colombia, from the indigenous, when we were in the Sierra Nevada. And I have some posts here that I'm ready to roll out, and I'm going to set them up for November, right? So you can do each day one post. Let's say you do 2 weeks of 2 posts a day, or you do 3 posts a day for 5 days. You can do that all for free. So this is a great way to line up your campaign, and you could do tasty content. You know, get your tasty content ready, because once the flow gets going, I find that you just start flowing. If you could get it all down in one fell swoosh, then you could possibly have a good month, or even more of content that's on this same framework that gets people excited. And I have witnessed that people are engaged with this tasty content. They do comment, they do share, they do DM me. A lot of people asking, and we do have signups already. All right, so finally, welcome your students. So the payments are received. This is step 5. The payments are received. You're welcoming your students in. The class is full. Right? So the class is full. So you validated your course concept. It is valid. The minimum viable course is ready to become maximized, right? So we're going to build those welcome emails to your specified MailChimp list. You're going to say thank you, offer a gift if you have one. You don't have to. and share a bit about why you're excited to move forward. So you can share a bit of your story, why you're excited for them to be here, and what your intentions are for them. What do you hope for? What do you expect, or not expect, but what are you really intending for them to receive from this class, so they get excited too? Always having that mindfulness, like not just speaking to somebody, but what are they receiving on the other side, right? Because you have a lot to offer, but what are they receiving from you? You also want to collect information. Typeform is amazing, or you can use anything else. Collecting information is important so you know who you're dealing with, right? Where are they from? Are they man or woman? What age are they? What kind of trajectory in their life are they on? Are they self-employed? Are they working for someone? Are they in a relationship, out of relationship, divorced? Or, are they completely in the matrix? Are they sovereign? Where are they? Understanding all of this, understanding how much time also that somebody has to dive into themselves, because they could just take the course with you. Like, let's say they take a live class with you every Saturday or every Sunday, and that's pretty much all that they think of. Like, that's just the time that they think about the course, right? But you want somebody who's actively engaged in the process. And working with Brandy was amazing in this way, because she was actively engaged in the process. She was journaling. She was doing the work, the inner work. And that's where the gems come forward, because that can't be measured, really, So you want to have somebody who has the availability to invest. And if they don't, I'm not saying rule them out. I'm saying that you should know that, right? You should know that, so that you can address it, right? You could get to it before it becomes a problem later on. You're trying to provide. You want to provide a transformation for every single one of these students. So you want to know where they're at, so that they can get to where you promised them that they would go. Ask key questions such as, how did you find us? This is also great for future courses. What made you want to sign up? Important information. Also, your pixels, your Google pixels, your Facebook pixels, and your Google Analytics, it'll tell you something about that. Your landing page can take all of that information, your analytics. And these are very powerful understandings for future course rollouts. Also, lay out I mentioned this earlier, also lay out the commitment to results and possibly any waivers if necessary. So commitment to results is big. I've witnessed this in personal training. When somebody, there's like a line that says, results are dependent upon your commitment to the program, right? And they initial their name next to it. And you commit to 4 days a week of attending class, and they initial their name next to it. And they say you will be honest and transparent about what you're experiencing, and and initial next to it. I don't have any medical issues or anything like that, and they initial next to it. All of these things are powerful for the consciousness to say, like, hey, like, this is a real process. All of that is very real. What I witnessed when I first started this inner trainer work in July was that, it was too quick almost from going from a DM to a session. There actually had to be some infrastructure in between, not to put a wall in between, but to prep them, because of just how fast that can happen. Like, you can DM me and get a session tomorrow. It created this casualness, and this is deep work, I mean, depending on the course, you could just be doing how to create your own crown course, something light, everything is valid here. Or just like a journal, journal for 30 days, but everything is, so the work that I do with soul coaching is a very deep work. So if you're along that same road of like personal transformations, personal development, the spiritual metaphysical work, having some sort of commitment, even health, health and wellness, health and fitness, that kind of work, there needs to be a commitment, because it's very like, it's almost an initiation of sorts, like when you go to the doctor, right? If any of us goes to the doctor, but how you go to the doctor and you have to sign like a whole bunch of things. You got to schedule. The doctor didn't even have an appointment for 2 weeks. You finally got that appointment. You go and you sit, and then you go and you sign your name to sign in. You get all these papers, and you got to sign off, and you put on, and then you wait, and you're just getting ready. and then finally they come out and then they're ready, and then there's this humility, you know, and there's this presence, and they're really there for it. That's important. I'm not saying do it the same way like that, where, because some of that is just extra, but the level of preparing somebody for putting their consciousness in the proper orientation, right? Again, positioning. What are you positioning yourself to receive? Do you want to receive casualness? Maybe certain courses are for casualness, but certain ones are more not even formal, but sincere, even more serious in a way, because we're getting to some real deep issues. So we got to approach them with that reverence. Reverence is the better word. Reverence. So just wanted to strike on that. Now 6, build your course. So let's do it. So the funds are raised, the course concept is validated. And by the way, again, if we didn't get the payments, right? If we didn't get the course validated, then we got to start at step 1, and that's okay. That means we dodged a cosmic bullet. So 6, build your course. So we're going to use those funds to build out the course. So go ahead and build your course content out on your platform of choice. So these are platforms that I've seen that I feel are the best. I know Savan has looked at them, and we're currently on Kajabi with University. So course hosting platform recommendations. Podia.com, that's my favorite. That's the one I'm moving forward with in my course. Kajabi.com, that's where we're at. We're University. Teachable.com, this is another one that I used for an earlier course, but didn't end up utilizing it all the way, but it seems like a valid option. Thinkific.com, haven't used it, but looks great. And you can actually go to podia.com/podia-alternatives, and they have an exhaustive list of comparing services to other services. So I could even drop this link in the chat so that you can see just the level that they really went in. Where are we at? So, okay. And let's continue. Okay. Boom. All right, so this is what we learned. This was the action plan. We brought it from 1 to 6. And we started with the course idea, turned that raw idea from that excitement, what already had legs in our reality. We refined it down into a minimum viable course. We put ourselves in a position to receive with those landing pages, payment options. We held space in our consciousness for the type of student we wanted to receive. We determined the course value that we're worth. We pinged our students with tasty content. We received our students, welcomed them in, nurtured them, said, hey, thank you for being here. And actually, I want to know more about you. What are you about? What are you here for? And then we proceeded with those funds to build out the course, get the resources we need, whether it's a camera, whether it's a course creation software, whether it's a course developer, maybe lights, you may need some lights or backdrop. All of those things can be funded with those pre-sale funds. And so thank you for being. I love y'all, wholeness, and man.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Hold on real quick. I need to give everybody the opportunity to unmute their lines, or it would be an injustice going on.
Let me go off screen.
Brother, that was amazing and extremely beautiful. I think this particular recording that we got going on right here has to be the highest level of conscious entrepreneurship tools and trade and every single thing you can think of, all collaborated in this presentation. And you got strength on this one.
Thank you, bro. I was up last night late. I was up till like 2:30 just practicing and just digging deep.
Man, I can see you know, you did your best. Like at the end of the day, like, you know how I was saying about sometimes that you had to get something going on, you really want to do it, time gets all crunched up, but you know you still get it done, then the last minute happened, and then wham, man. And it's almost like the best time too, man, because you had a lot of retention on this thing. So just so everybody knows, you do have the opportunity to unmute your lines. I did also, before you do so, I put Mark's course in. You know, I know there's some seats available. It's got to be, so check it out. And this is that hot stuff with the digital assets. So I will really like those who have something to say, you know, want to give thanks. This has been a lengthy meeting, but more than worth it. I'm going to distill this thing as rapidly as possible as far as getting it up, so those who need to check out the archives can do so. And actually, let me see my video. I just, oof, yeah. Wow, brother. So, does anybody have something to say? You can unmute your line. I was just gonna let it breathe, and we shared a lot today, and it's just been an amazing build. Like this is back-to-back bumbles.
Brother Mark.
Wholeness.
Brother, wholeness.
Oh, hey, you did a great job, man. Because I know a lot of that stuff I already know. So to see that you actually got in there and got the training, because I follow that same lady. She does a lot of
You
work. Yeah.
Yes.
Focused on Instagram. So I'm glad that you actually went through the course and actually implemented. And because a lot of people just. That's what I'm saying.
And then the icing on the cake, though, is to come back around and present it again. Like that's the whole thing, because that's a whole nother thing. You know, you can go and apply the whole thing yourself and make it work, and then to come back around and be able to present it to that kind of tea, it's like, woo, that's the shield.
Man, thank you. Thank you, brother. And these were actually all from the free webinar. I didn't even go ahead and go through her whole process. So this is distilling it down through what she was given, and she gives value. She definitely does give value. So if you take it and go all the way with it, it's solid. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing, is you got to be able to take that stuff and actually implement it, and that's the key. And that's when you start realizing what's working, even from the free stuff.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of times will lead to. Okay, if you have some troubles and if you want to go to paid stuff, you can generally get more gems. That's kind of how it's kind of laid out. But you did a great job, brother. Very good.
I appreciate you, brother.
What's so dope though is duplicating success. That's what's so dope about it.
Let's go. Let's go, man.
So much love, bro. Yeah, the retention,
brother.
Man, I'm taking this home. I'm sitting with it. Incubate it and put it to practice, man. So thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yes, what's good, brother Mark? Brother Angel, wholeness, brother.
How you doing? Yo, I just want to say, right, I went to Rutgers University for a business school, right? I paid it was about 30 grand for a business school, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, what you just delivered is surpasses what I paid for business school, bro.
Yeah.
You surely did put it into that C form, brother, and I received it, man. Thank you so much.
It wasn't even expected. You just gave it to us for free.
Thank you, brother. Brother, you went to Rutgers Newark or Rutgers New Brunswick?
I went to Rutgers in Camden.
Oh, you went to Camden. Yeah, I went to Rutgers New Brunswick. That's wild.
All right, so I also know our brother DeAndre. He's got something nice waiting on us too. So I'm going to be getting with him next month so we can keep going into these actionable tasks. I do want to let everyone know that we have now officially got our equipment together for Mindful TV, and just understanding that that's like a cosmos. It's full of space, and just like what we said, we want to build some value. We really want to work with as much of our own original content as we can. But in looking at even this presentation today, I feel like we're really ready to ramp up this process. So let's just keep collaborating. Those who already have ideas are ready to put those ideas in action, and just realizing that, we're just going to keep building this. And as we crescendo into next year, Sovereignty 2020, but let's be the examples by actually seeing this traction catch with all of us in this group. So get involved. And I will just like I said, I'm gonna leave it open. Like I'm still digesting. I'm still on yesterday's thing. Yesterday was crazy for me. So, now I'm in here today, and we got a chance to see even something equally as powerful on that other spectrum. So it really meets a whole body. And that's what I like about just how we're presenting things when we're connecting with each other. We're not missing anything. And again, for those who didn't catch that link in the chat, I'm gonna paste it again. I'm very confident that if you take this course that the brother is presenting, that if that's something that you're looking to see fulfilled, it'll happen, because that's the integrity and that's the balance that we build. So wholeness for that. We talked also about a lot of tools. So there's a lot to digest here. And just like Mark's saying about some of these techniques, they really talk about, taking those morsels that you need personally right now to start building from, because we do deliver a lot. So this is a full plate. We create a lot of value. So there's another opposing thing to a lot of value, as a person could sometimes feel like they're overwhelmed with, well, what do I do? But I really believe that in this presentation, we took everyone to a point, and there's multiple people, there's a lot of space in this. We took everyone to a point where they could see what they need to do next, and that this is the next thing for them. And then we designed it so it kind of crescendos from there. This is what I should do next. We live as the examples. And of course, because this is a live network, you can always ping anybody here if you need some extra pointers as to what to do next. So wholeness, everyone.